Chapter 1078. A drop of sweat fell from between Tang Ao's eyebrows. Tang Ao had only used the time it took to drink a cup of tea, but now that he was concocting the Gathering Star pill, Tang Ao had used nearly an hour to refine the medicinal liquid. Moreover, after an hour, Tang Ao still hadn't finished refining the medicinal liquid for the Gathering Star pill. Inside the pill furnace, Tang Ao's powerful soul remembrance controlled the 9 different colored medicinal liquids to slowly fuse together. The Heavenly Star Sunflower's medicinal liquid was in the center of the 9 medicinal liquids. However, the 9 medicinal liquids were very resistant to the Heavenly Star Sunflower's medicinal liquid. Even if Tang Ao tried his best to control it, the 9 medicinal liquids were still trembling. In this situation, Tang Ao couldn't even condense the liquid, let alone condense the pill. However, Tang Ao didn't give up. He recalled the Shinong Emperor's inheritance about the Gathering Star pill and tried his best to control the medicinal liquid so it wouldn't collapse. Pill Master Jimuyan has successfully concocted the Great Returning Pill, special grade quality, 3 points. After Tang Ao gained the upper hand, the second person to successfully concoct the pill was Jinmuyan. The pill she concocted was the Great Returning Pill. The Great Returning Pill was a recovery pill used to quickly recover lost spiritual power. Although the Great Returning Pill was a peak 6th grade pill like the Great Lotus Pill that Tang Ao had concocted before, the Great Returning Pill was a bit easier to concoct than the Great Lotus Pill. After Jinmuyan finished concocting the Great Returning Pill, she glanced at Tang Ao in the distance and immediately made a face at Tang Ao before looking at the second item she wanted to concoct. Seeing the name of the pill on the array screen, Jinmuyan was dumbfounded. Peak 6th grade pill, Iron Bone Pill. Jinmuyan had never heard of this pill before. Although the medicinal ingredients and pill recipe were provided, Jinmuyan still felt that this furnace of pills was very difficult to concoct. After seeing this Iron Bone Pill, Jinmuyan could understand why Tang Ao hadn't finished concocting the pill for so long. Although Kaneki-kin did not know what medicinal pill Tang Ao was refining, it would not be much easier than the Iron Bone Pill. In fact, the Star Gathering Pill refined by Tang Ao was far more difficult than the Iron Bone Dan. The Iron Bone Dan could only be considered a very rare medicinal pellet, but the difficulty of refining it was not very high. As long as it was refined 2 or 3 times, an alchemist could easily refine this kind of medicinal pill. However, the Celestial Gatherer Pill Tang Ao was currently refining was different. The difficulty of refining a Celestial Gatherer pill was the most difficult pill to refine under Immortal Pills. Tang Ao's level of alchemy had already reached the peak of grade 6, but even so, Tang Ao found it difficult to refine the Converging Celestial Pill. If replaced by an ordinary alchemist, they would have already failed. Pill Master Chu Shuahan has successfully refined the Clouds Now pill. It's a 6th grade, special grade pill. 3 points. Ji Feiqian. When it was almost an hour, many alchemists had completed their first batch of medicinal pills. The top 10 alchemists had passed the first round with 3 points, while most of the alchemists had scored more than 2 points. The first batch of medicinal pills was refined at will. Each alchemist refined the medicinal pills they were best at. Therefore, the score difference in the first round of alchemy was not obvious. However, after most of the alchemists started the second round of alchemy, many of them looked very dignified. Obviously, the medicinal pills specified in the second round were beyond their expectations. Many alchemists had never even heard of the medicinal pills they were going to refine. Although many alchemists had heard of the medicinal pills they were going to refine, the difficulty of refining the medicinal pills made them flinch. Chapter 1079. Diagonally behind Tang Ao, Cui Jing's expression kept changing. On Cui Jing's array formation screen were the 3 words Gathering Celestial Pill. Unlike the other alchemists, Cui Jing was the Medicine King's second disciple and had refined hundreds of Gathering Celestial Pills on a daily basis. However, in these hundreds of attempts, Cui Jing had never succeeded. At this moment, when he saw that the pill he was about to refine was the gathering celestial pill. Cui Jing felt a little indignant. Cui Jing did not understand why this alchemy competition would include this kind of medicinal pill that was basically impossible to refine into the content of the competition. Even his honored master, the old medicine king, had less than a 10% success rate in refining the gathering celestial pill. Under such circumstances, Cui Jing really didn't know how to refine the gathering celestial pill. Bang! A flame burst out from Tang Ao's pill furnace, and the medicinal liquid Tang Ao had just refined instantly turned to ashes. After a stalemate of nearly an hour, Tang Ao's first batch of gathering celestial pills ended in failure. What's going on? In the third round, Tang Ao had gained the upper hand with a show of strength, leading the other alchemists by half an hour. Unexpectedly, Tang Ao's furnace suddenly exploded. Could it be that this Tang Ao specializes in refining the Great Lotus Pill and doesn't know how to refine any other pills besides the Great Lotus Pill? Otherwise, if a grade 6 alchemist were to refine a grade 6 pill, even if he failed, he wouldn't have lost control of the medicinal liquid and exploded his furnace. It's very likely. Otherwise, how could he refine the Great Lotus Pill in the time it takes to brew a cup of tea? Tang Ao failed once, but he can still refine it again. I'm quite optimistic about him. I wonder what kind of pill will be refined in the second round. Why do all these alchemists have such serious expressions on their faces? Although he had failed, Tang Ao still felt a little happy in his heart. Because from the previous attempt, Tang Ao realized that refining the gathering celestial pill really had something to do with vitality. The reason why his furnace exploded was that Tang Ao did not inject enough vitality into it. Now that Tang Ao knew the reason, the success rate of refining the gathering celestial pill increased significantly. However, Tang Ao had consumed a lot of energy to refine the celestial gathering pill, so he was no longer in peak condition. Therefore, Tang Ao didn't continue to concoct pills. Instead, he took out a few pills and ate them before sitting down to recover the spirit power and soul remembrance he had just used. Traces of spiritual power flowed into Tang Ao's limbs and bones, and his soul sea was also gradually replenished. In this alchemy conference, Tang Ao was not the first alchemist to have his furnace explode. After Tang Ao, there were many alchemists who failed one after another. An alchemist couldn't dodge in time, and the instant his alchemy furnace exploded, he was severely injured by the explosion of his own pill. A sixth-grade alchemist was severely injured by an explosion while concocting pills. If they hadn't witnessed it with their own eyes, they would have treated it as a joke. After this incident, everyone in the spectator stands had a new understanding of the elixirs being refined in this competition. These elixirs were probably very different from the ones they usually saw. Alchemist Wu Yuan has successfully refined the Bodhi pill. Grade: lower grade 6. 1 point and 1 point. This news instantly caused quite a stir. Wu Yuan's status in the alchemy world was on par with the current medicine refining Valley's medicine king. However, a top-notch grandmaster like Wu Yuan had actually refined a lower-grade elixir in the second round of alchemy. Moreover, many of the alchemists present had never heard of the name of this pill. Chapter 1080. Unlike Tang Ao, Wu Yuan did not consume a lot of energy in the second round of alchemy. Therefore, after Wu Yuan finished refining the second batch of medicinal pills, he immediately cleaned up the pill furnace and started refining the third batch of medicinal pills. Perhaps the second batch of medicinal pills made Wu Yuan suffer a big blow, but now he wanted to regain his face in the third batch of medicinal pills. Just after cleaning up the pill furnace, Wu Yuan looked at the medicinal pill required to be refined on the array screen and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Tang Ao did not know what medicinal pill Wu Yuan was going to refine in the third round, but seeing Wu Yuan's bloodthirsty expression, Tang Ao knew that the third round of medicinal pills would not be simple. After taking a deep breath, Tang Ao slowly got up and started challenging the gathering celestial pill again. Tang Ao had just finished cleaning up the pill furnace when a shocking news came out. Pill Master Yao Chun successfully refined the gathering celestial pill with 60% purity, scoring 6 points. With the spread of this news, Yao Chen's ranking instantly rose from the previous 9th place to 1st place. The gap between the top 10 pill masters in the first 2 rounds was not that big, but with the start of the 3rd round, the scores of each pill master instantly changed. Originally, when the 3rd round began, there were still 300 pill masters in the alchemy square, but now there were only 200 pill masters left in the alchemy square. This time, the quota to enter the Xitigarbis cemetery was most likely to fall into the hands of these people. Pill Master Jinmuyan successfully refined the Iron Bone pill, medium quality, 2 points. After Yao Chun, Jinmuyan, who had been rushing in like a dark horse, also finished refining the Iron Bone pill. However, Jinmuyan was very dissatisfied with his score and kept curling his lips. When Tang Ao heard about the medicinal pill refined by Jinmuyan, he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Among the medicinal pills refined by the few people just now, Jinmuyan's medicinal pill was the simplest one. The Iron Bone pill was very rare, but the difficulty of refining the Iron Bone pill was not very high. If Tang Ao refined the Iron Bone pill, Tang Ao would have already started the 3rd round of alchemy. Not envious for too long, Tang Ao decided to start refining his own celestial gathering pill. At this moment, Tang Ao gained a deeper understanding of Yao Chen's attainments in the Tao of Alchemy. Although Yao Chen did not manage to refine a top-grade celestial gathering pill, Yao Chen still managed to successfully refine a celestial gathering pill in one go. Yao Chen, this child, is a little eccentric. In terms of alchemy talent, I'm afraid even Xue Han can't compare to him. The purple-robed elder beside the old medicine king said as he looked at Yao Chen, who was not far away. Hee, I won't be seeing that. Yao Chen spent all his time in the medicine jar. How much effort could Xue Han put into alchemy? If Xue Han devoted herself to studying the pill Tao like Yao Chen, I'm afraid she would have already surpassed us old fellows. The old medicine king had a very high evaluation of his great-granddaughter. Like Xue Han, Yao Chen was also the old medicine king's great-grandson. However, Yao Chen and the old medicine king didn't see eye to eye. Yao Chen's alchemy skills were self-taught without the old medicine king's guidance. In a corner of the alchemy square, Tang Ao carefully controlled the medicinal liquid of the celestial gathering pill and fused it together. After the fusion process, Tang Ao used the Jade Bone Life Spirit to continuously transfer life force to the celestial gathering pill. Sure enough, this time, Tang Ao's condensation process was much easier. After the condensation, Tang Ao left and shot out a few pill techniques to start condensing the pill. With Tang Ao's pill techniques, a blue pill slowly took shape. Chapter 1081. Alchemist Tang Ao has successfully concocted the Gathering Star Pill. High quality, 70% purity, 6 points. As this voice spread out, Tang Ao once again became the center of attention. In the 3rd round of the competition, Tang Ao had taken the lead by completing the 1st round of pellets, surprising a lot of people. But then, Tang Ao Alchemy's furnace explosion was even more shocking. And now, after Tang Ao had successfully concocted the 2nd round of pellets, it had once again caused quite a commotion. Besides the fact that Tang Ao was currently the number 1 in the ranking, it was also because Tang Ao had concocted the highest grade Gathering Star Pill in the history of the Ice Plane. Since there were no astral-reaching realm warriors in the Ice Plane, there was not much demand for Gathering Star Pills. However, just because there were no astral-reaching realm warriors now, it did not mean that there would not be any in the future. After Tang Ao had concocted the top-grade Gathering Star Pill, Lei Lingyun's eyes lit up. For others, the astral-reaching realm might be something that they could only dream of but not reach. But for Lei Lingyun, it was not that far away. Right now, he was already at the early life and death realm. It would not be long before he would be able to reach the astral-reaching realm. If he used some tricks, he was confident that he would be able to reach the astral-reaching realm within 3 months. Right now, he did not need the Gathering Star pill, but he could use it soon. Although the alchemists in the Lightning Palace were not bad, they did not have any top-grade alchemists. And Tang Ao, who did not have any background, was exactly what the Lightning Palace needed. Right now, Lei Lingyun had already decided that once the alchemy conference was over, he would send Tang Ao to the Lightning Palace to concoct pellets. Tang Ao did not know what Lei Lingyun was thinking, but Tang Ao knew that concocting the Gathering Star pill was definitely not a good thing. Tang Ao could already imagine the consequences of concocting the Gathering Star pill. Therefore, when Tang Ao was concocting it, he had already held back a little. However, Tang Ao did not expect that even if he did not go all out, concocting the pellets would still cause such a huge reaction. Sister Wonder has a good eye. This Tang Ao is really powerful. In the VIP seats of the Alchemy Square, Su Yashuan, who was wearing a veil, said softly to Shangguan Wan beside her, "Elder Sister Yashian is making fun of me again. What does young Master Tang Ao's alchemy have to do with Wan Shangguan Wan blinked her large, glass-like eyes and said innocently, "Everyone knows that Tang Ao won 100 matches in a row in the sword battle arena for his sister. Although Tang Ao's cultivation is a little weak, his attainments in the Tao of Alchemy can completely overlook his lack of cultivation. If Sister Wan is interested, you can have a wonderful story with him." Su Yashuan completely ignored Shangguan Wan's blushing face and spoke bluntly. "Since Big Sister admires Tang Ao so much, then let Big Sister and Tang Ao have a good story." Although Su Yashuan was the pavilion master of the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion, Su Yashuan and Shangguan Wan had a very good relationship in private. However, who would have thought that after Shangguan Wan finished speaking, Su Yashuan would nod seriously and say, although he is good in alchemy, his cultivation is still too weak. If he can break through to the first level of the life and death realm, I might consider it." Su Yashuan said as she stretched her waist. Her enchanting curves made it impossible for anyone to take their eyes off her. Chapter 1082. Although Tang Ao was speechless about concocting an immortal pill, the 3 sets of ingredients allowed Tang Ao to heave a sigh of relief. However, Tang Ao still didn't have any confidence in concocting an immortal pill. It wasn't just Tang Ao. In fact, everyone in the 3rd round had to concoct an immortal pill. This was also why no one had succeeded in concocting an immortal pill until now. After carefully recalling the records of the Great Void Soul returning pill in the pill concoction Jade Scroll, Tang Ao shook his head. With his current pill concoction ability, if he used the Shinong Cauldron, he still had a 10% chance of success. If he used a normal pill furnace like this, Tang Ao wouldn't succeed even if he tried 100 times. Tang Ao subconsciously took a look and found that none of the pill refiners who had passed the 2nd round of pill refinement had started the 3rd round of pill refinement. Seeing this, Tang Ao suddenly thought that the 3rd round might not be about concocting the pill. However, if they didn't concoct the pill, what was the 3rd round about? Tang Ao was puzzled. Since he couldn't understand, Tang Ao decided to go all out to concoct this pill. No matter what the result was or what the competition was about, going all out wouldn't go wrong. This was Tang Ao's first time concocting an immortal pill. Although Tang Ao's condition wasn't bad, this wasn't Tang Ao's peak condition. Therefore, after Tang Ao cleaned the pill furnace and arranged the ingredients, he sat down and started to adjust his breathing. As he adjusted his breathing, Tang Ao recalled the records of the Great Void Soul returning pill in the Shinong Emperor's Pill Concoction Jade Scroll. In the Shinong Emperor's Pill Concoction Jade Scroll, there were 3 minimum requirements for the pill refiner to concoct the Great Void Soul returning pill. The first requirement was that the pill refiner's cultivation had to be at the life and death realm. Otherwise, during the concoction process, there was a high chance that the concoction would fail due to insufficient spiritual power. The second requirement was that the pill refiner's soul remembrance couldn't be damaged. Otherwise, the soul remembrance wouldn't be able to control the changes in the pill. The third requirement was that the alchemist must have an immortal grade flame. Unfortunately, Tang Ao did not fulfill any of these three minimum requirements. Currently, Tang Ao's injuries had not fully healed, and his strength had been greatly reduced. He only had the cultivation of the fourth layer of the Spirit Sea realm. As for soul remembrance, although the current Tang Ao soul remembrance was extremely powerful, it was far from his peak. As for the immortal grade flame, Tang Ao knew that his current flame was still 108,000 miles away from the immortal grade flame. If he gave up now, then he would get 0 points for the third round of alchemy. If he gave it his all now, then the points he would get would be unknown. Bang! Another explosion rang out. This time, however, it was not Tang Ao's furnace that exploded. Instead, it was Grandmaster Wu Yuan's furnace. Wu Yuan had originally wanted to regain his face in the third round of alchemy, but the result was that he had lost even more face. As an alchemy grandmaster of the ice and snow plains, Wu Yuan's cauldron explosion during alchemy could be said to be a great humiliation. Following this cauldron explosion, the high-spirited Wu Yuan instantly seemed to have aged a lot. Wu Yuan's eyes stared blankly for a moment. Then he fell to the ground and looked up at the clouds that occasionally floated past. Bang! Aya! After Wu Yuan, the doll-like Kaneki Yin also faced her first cauldron explosion in this alchemy conference. Kaneki Yan's small face was smeared with the ash from the cauldron, instantly turning black. Kaneki Yan's small hands carelessly touched her face and angrily glanced at the people around her, who were rejoicing in her misfortune. Chapter 1083. But in Tang Ao's eyes, Kaneki Kin's threat was like a cute act of a child. Although Kaneki Kin's alchemy attainments were not something a child should have, in the end, Kaneki Kin was still a child. While looking at Kaneki Kin, Tang Ao also saw Master Weiyuan, who was sitting on the ground. Tang Ao shook his head slightly. Although Master Weiyuan's alchemy skills were extraordinary, his temperament was too poor. He could not even compare to a child like Kaneki Kin. After the cauldron exploded, Kaneki Kin cleaned the cauldron almost without thinking and threw the second set of herbs into the cauldron. His little face was full of enthusiasm, without any signs of dispiritedness or disappointment. While refining, Kaneki Kin glanced at Tang Ao. After seeing that Tang Ao was still sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed, Kaneki Kin naughtily stuck out his tongue at Tang Ao. The little princess seems to like this kid very much. Why don't we bring this kid back to play with the little princess for a few days? In the void above the alchemy square, there was a young man and woman. The man was handsome, and the woman was also full of an ethereal aura. The two had been here for a long time, but no one in the alchemy square, including Old Medicine King and Lei Lingyun, had noticed their presence. Hearing the words of the young man in black, the woman in white blinked her beautiful eyes and then said lightly, "The purpose of coming to this low-level plane is to find the living soil. Now that the living soil has not been found, you still want to bring an outsider back. You're really bold." "Hee, Junior Sister Ling, you must be joking. I was just saying it casually. The matter of the living soil is not that serious. Master also said that he just wanted us to try our luck. After all, the eldest disciple of the magnetite old man, by Yufei, has come in person. I think the living soil is most likely in by Yufei's hands now. Well, looking at the situation, there are indeed traces of a battle between experts. I just don't know who has the ability to compete with Bai Yufei for the living soil." These two were the disciples of the Tianyuan Dao Lord, Su Lingling and Murong Yi. Back then, Tang Ao had touched the living soil that Spirit Official Wang was guarding, causing Origin Magnetic Dao Lord to notice the existence of the snow plane. Thus, he wanted to personally go down to the lower realms to search for the living soil. However, Primal Magnet Dao Sovereign was blocked by Primal Magnet Dao Sovereign, so Primal Magnet Dao Sovereign could only send his disciples to search for him. Dao Master Tianyuan, who had received the news, naturally would not miss out on a treasure like the living soil. Therefore, he had also sent his two disciples. What they didn't expect was that Bai Yufei didn't obtain the living soil. Instead, It was obtained by Tang Ao with Ming Di's help. On the alchemy square, Tang Ao had a vague feeling that he was being watched. It was just that this feeling was very subtle, making it very difficult for Tang Ao to detect. However, Tang Ao was sure that the ones spying on him this time weren't the old Medicine King's group. Moreover, this person's cultivation seemed to be above the old Medicine King's, which was why he couldn't sense it. After closing his eyes and sensing for a moment, Tang Ao abruptly raised his head and activated sky polar pupils to look at the sky. However, under the sky polar pupils, although there was an intense spiritual power ripple, there was no one there. Although he couldn't see anyone, Tang Ao knew that there was indeed someone there. It was just that the two's cultivation was too high, causing Tang Ao to be unable to detect them even with the sky polar pupils. With Tang Ao's current ability, even if an astral-reaching martial artist were to hide there, Tang Ao would still be able to see them. However, Tang Ao couldn't see anyone there. This could only mean that the two experts in the sky were even above the astral-reaching realm. Above the astral-reaching realm was the yin-yang realm. It was absolutely impossible for an yin-yang realm expert to exist in the snow plane. Chapter 1084. Heavenly Polar Pupils. Interesting. When Tang Ao used his heavenly polar pupils to detect Murong Yi, who was hiding in midair, Murong Yi also noticed Tang Ao. However, Murong Yi immediately shook his head. It's just a beginner's sky polar pupils. Boring. Of course, Tang Ao didn't know Murong Yi's evaluation of him. At the same time, he didn't know the level of his sky polar pupils. At this moment, Tang Ao had already started refining the Great Void Resurrection Pill. Because the spirit herbs needed to concoct the Great Void Rejuvenating Pill were extremely precious and hard to obtain, and there were 3 sets of herbs here, Tang Ao decided to use the first 2 sets of materials to practice on how to concoct the Great Void Rejuvenating Pill. He wanted to use the 3rd set of materials to successfully concoct the Great Void Rejuvenating Pill. Although the chances were slim, Tang Ao still wanted to give it a try. As time passed, more and more people gathered around the alchemy plaza. Everyone looked at the solemn expressions of the alchemists in the plaza and felt extremely confused. The alchemy conference had been held several times in the past, but none of the alchemists who participated had reached this standard. Master Wu Yuan, who was on par with the current Medicine King, was here. The old Medicine King's 9 direct disciples were here. Not only that, even the legendary alchemist of the Winter Plains, Yao Chun, and the genius Chu Xiuhan of the Medicine Refinement Valley were here. Apart from that, many famous alchemists were also invited. Those who didn't know about the changes in the Xitigarbis Cemetery were filled with doubts. Those who knew about the changes in the Xitigarbis Cemetery knew that it was normal. At the same time, they couldn't wait to enter the Xitigarbis Cemetery. Why did that Tang Ao fail again? He failed twice in a row. Although Tang Ao wasn't the most dazzling among the alchemists, there were still people who paid attention to Tang Ao. Yeah, and he looked so casual these 2 times. It seems like he's ready to give up. It's already not bad that he made it this far. Can't you see Master Wu Yuan is still in a daze on the ground? On the alchemy square, Tang Ao looked at the pill that was burnt to ashes in the alchemy furnace and smiled bitterly in his heart. Tang Ao refined 2 furnaces of Great Void Soul, returning pills in succession, but he failed both times. Moreover, after experiencing 2 failures, Tang Ao did not gain much. Based on this, the 3rd batch of pills would inevitably fail. However, Tang Ao did not hesitate too much because there was less than an hour left before the end of the competition. Even if the refinement failed, Tang Ao could not wait any longer. After cleaning the alchemy furnace, Tang Ao threw the last set of herbs needed to refine the Great Void Resurrection Pill into the alchemy furnace. Tang Ao was not stingy this time. He directly used the highest grade netherworld flame. Flames danced in the alchemy furnace, and drops of crystal-clear medicinal liquid were extracted from the herbs in the blazing flame, while the impurities were burned to ashes. Although this furnace of pills might not be successfully refined, with the previous two experiences, Tang Ao decided to refine a furnace of useless pills. That's right, this furnace of pills, Tang Ao decided to refine a furnace of useless pills. Because the previous two times of refining pills, no matter how hard Tang Ao tried, he could not refine the pills successfully, resulting in the pills being burned to ashes by the flames in the end. Therefore, this time, Tang Ao planned to not refine the pills after condensing the pills, and directly take the pills out. In this way, even though the pill he refined was a useless one, he still managed to refine the pill. Chapter 1085. If it was before, Tang Ao didn't care about the spots, but now, Tang Ao placed great importance on the spots to enter Xitigarbha Cemetery. This was because the spots were useless in Tang Ao's hands before, but now that they were in Tang Ao's hands, it meant large amounts of extreme-grade spirit stones. Extreme-grade spirit stones were Tang Ao's second most important item. After Tang Ao recovered his strength, he could only use extreme-grade spirit stones to quickly raise his cultivation. Tang Ao released all of his soul remembrance to suppress the rioting pill. Tang Ao suppressed the rioting pill while using pill techniques to forcefully condense the pill. This process continued for an incense's time. Just as Tang Ao couldn't hold on any longer, the violent pill in the pill furnace finally calmed down. In the pill furnace, there was a mottled pill. This pill's appearance was very bad, and it was also a trash pill. However, seeing this trash pill, Tang Ao wasn't disappointed at all. Although this pill was trash, it didn't belong to the category of spirit pills. It was an immortal pill. This was Tang Ao's first time concocting an immortal pill. Being able to concoct a pill was already very good. As for successfully concocting an immortal pill, that was wishful thinking. Tang Ao treated the trash pill like a treasure and put it into a jade bottle, but didn't put it into the appraisal spirit array. Tang Ao wanted to see how the other alchemists would handle the third round of the competition. The first person Tang Ao looked at was naturally the little girl Kaneki Ken. Seeing Kaneki Yan's actions, Tang Ao almost laughed out loud. Because Kaneki Yan actually grabbed a handful of pill ashes from the pill furnace and put them into a jade bottle. Clearly, this was the result of her third round of concocting. After Kaneki Yan finished concocting the pill, she unconsciously looked in Tang Ao's direction. Seeing Tang Ao also look at her, she arrogantly snorted. Tang Ao was worried that if he continued to look at Kaneki Ken, he wouldn't be able to hold back his laughter, so he shifted his gaze to Yao Chun. Compared to Kaneki Ken, Yao Chen's methods were much more brilliant. For some reason, Yao Chen only merged the medicinal liquid and did not condense the pill. At this moment, Yao Chen used his spiritual power to envelop the medicinal liquid and poured it into a jade bottle that he had prepared beforehand. Just as Tang Ao was continuing to observe the techniques of the other alchemists, Grandmaster Wu Yuan, who had fallen to the ground earlier, suddenly smacked his head and said, "So that's how it is, so that's how it is. I understand, I understand." After saying that, Master Wu Yuan immediately stood up and smoothly tossed the medicinal ingredients into the alchemy cauldron. Immediately after, a special fluctuation began to brew in his alchemy furnace. After sensing this fluctuation, Tang Ao's heart trembled. The reason why he was unable to successfully refine the pill just now was because Tang Ao felt that he was lacking something in the process of refining the pill. But now, Tang Ao felt something similar in Wu Yuan's pill furnace. It seemed that the pill he refined was lacking this thing. But when he felt it carefully, it seemed that he was lacking a lot of this thing, but something else similar. This feeling was very strange. But Grandmaster Wu Yuan's epiphany attracted the attention of all the alchemists around him. At this moment, no alchemist continued to refine the pill, and everyone's eyes were focused on Wu Yuan. At the beginning, Tang Ao was a little inspired, but as time passed, Tang Ao noticed that something was wrong. Not good. Tang Ao shouted anxiously. Chapter 1086. There's still 30 breaths of time before the end of the competition. When everyone was attracted by the commotion caused by Wu Yuan, the purple-robed elder on the stage reminded them. Hearing the elder's words, Tang Ao did not hesitate to place his failed pill into the appraisal spiritual array. Immediately, Tang Ao saw a score. Great Void Soul Rejuvenation Pill, 33 points. Seeing this score, Tang Ao was overjoyed. It seemed like he had made the right bet this time. If it wasn't for Master Wu Yuan's sudden enlightenment, his failed pill would definitely be much higher than the other pill refiners. On Kaneki Kin's array screen, it showed Nirvana Pill Ashes, 26 points. On Yao Chen's array screen, it showed Great Qian Pill's Medicinal Liquid, 30 points. After the pill refiners placed their pills into the appraisal spiritual array, the rankings on the list started to change. Some alchemists' names plummeted, falling in a straight line. There were also some alchemists who came later, their names rising abruptly. However, the higher the ranking of the pill refiners, the smaller the fluctuation of their names. When Tang Ao looked at the ranking, he saw that his name had been pushed down by Wu Yuan. Originally, Tang Ao was first, but after Wu Yuan successfully refined the lowest grade Tier 1 immortal pill, his score was obviously not low. Tang Ao calculated a little and was a little surprised in his heart, because according to the points, Wu Yuan's final pill was worth 4 points. After the rankings stabilized, 100 extremely dazzling names appeared on the Alchemy Conference's ranking. Li Qing, 23 points, rank 100. A manservant looked at the last row of the leaderboard twice, and then excitedly said to the old man beside him, "Old Master, this is great. Young Master Qing is in the top 100 this time." "What? Louder?" The elder squinted his eyes, trying to see the ranking clearly, but no matter how he looked, it was a little blurry. "Old Master, I said that young Master Qing entered the top 100 this time. This time, our Li family has a slot to enter the Xitigarbis Cemetery." "Ah, good kid, not bad, not bad." There were many similar conversations happening around the plaza, but some people were happy, while others were naturally sad. There were even some whose eyes were filled with anger. Chui Jing was one of them. After 3 matches, Chui Jing was still on the list, but Chui Jing was very dissatisfied with his ranking. On the ranking list, Chui Jing was only ranked 39th, but Tang Ao, whom he had disdained not long ago, was actually ranked 2nd. If not for old man Wu Yuan's epiphany at the end, Tang Ao would have become the first person in this competition. This made Chui Jing very unhappy. Compared to Chui Jing's unhappiness, the old medicine king was a little disappointed with this result. Out of the 9 direct disciples under him, only 2 had made it into the top 10. Other than the first time, there were 2 disciples who did not even make it into the top 100. This made the old medicine king very disappointed. He didn't want to stay here anymore. Now that the rankings were confirmed, Master Wu Yuan was the winner of this year's Alchemy Conference, while Tang Ao was in 2nd place. But after Tang Ao, it was not Yao Chun, but Chu Xuahan. This made Tang Ao a little surprised. After Chu Xuahan was Yao Chun. When Tang Ao looked down, he saw Kaneki Kin, who was ranked 5th, followed by Ji Feiqian, who was only slightly behind Kaneki Kin. Chapter 1087. After Tang Ao received the token, he immediately received a message from Li Muling. Li Muling told Tang Ao to gather at Southwind Forest in 2 hours and prepare to enter Xitigarbis Cemetery. After reading Li Muling's message, Tang Ao put away the communication pearl. However, before Tang Ao could put the communication bead into his storage ring, he received 4 messages in a row. The first message was from Chu Xuahan. Tang Ao probed it with his soul remembrance and heard Chu Xuahan's voice. "You win. You win this time. I'm willing to bet, so I'll be going with you on this trip to Xitigarbis Cemetery. Where shall we meet?" After reading this message, Tang Ao was a bit confused. He had just been joking with Chu Xuahan and had no intentions of going with her. Without much time to think, Tang Ao checked the second message. This second message was from Chu Yuqing. It was basically telling Tang Ao not to be late. Tang Ao silently thought how rare it was that Chu Yuqing remembered to remind him not to be late. When he thought of how Chu Yuqing had left him at Heavenly Fragrance Tower for half a month, Tang Ao felt that Chu Yuqing's drinking was unreliable. The third and fourth messages were both about the token in Tang Ao's hand. One was from Jin Dajiang, and the other was from Luo Yu. Tang Ao ignored the two and went to Bing Xiao Old Man's side first. He took out 5 tokens and handed them over. Old Man Bing Xiao, these are the 5 tokens I promised you. Keep them well. Ice Howl nodded. Thank you, Tang Ao. After this trip to Xitigarbis Cemetery, we welcome Tang Ao to visit our Snow Feather tribe at any time. Of course, of course. After exchanging a few pleasantries with Ice Howl, Tang Ao looked at the adjacent Bing Xian. In the past year, Bing Xian had grown quite a bit. Xian, you've grown taller. This is a gift for you. Tang Ao rubbed Bing Xian's head and handed her a storage ring. Bing Xian took the storage ring, but did not look at it. Instead, she said somewhat sadly, Big Brother Tang Ao, Grandpa Bing Xiao said that the Xitigarbis Cemetery is too dangerous. He did not allow Xian to go in. I just saw Big Brother Tang Ao, and now we have to separate again. It's all right, it's all right. When I come out of the Xitigarbis Cemetery, I'll come to the Snow Feather tribe to look for you. Xian, you have to work hard on your cultivation when you get back. I will return the favor. See you next time, Tang Ao said and waved at Bing Xian. Although she was reluctant, Xian still waved goodbye to Tang Ao. After leaving Bing Xian, Tang Ao came to the other side of the Alchemy Plaza. At that moment, Baisuru was a little stunned. Song Yu, who had been favored by the clan, had been turned into dust by Lei Ling Yun's random lightning strike. Then, Tang Ao, who she had unintentionally saved, had become the second person in this alchemy conference. Miss Bai, Tang Ao waved his hand in front of Baisuru's eyes. Tang Ao had called out to Baisuru twice, but Baisuru did not respond at all. Baisuru came back to her senses. After seeing Tang Ao's actions, Baisuru angrily pinched Tang Ao's waist. Tang Ao pulled back and handed the 5 tokens to enter the Xitigarbis Cemetery to Baisuru. Thank you, Miss Bai, for saving my life. When I come out of the Xitigarbis Cemetery, I will come find you again. After Tang Ao said that, he immediately rushed in a certain direction. Luo Yu and Jin Dajiang had already sent countless messages to Tang Ao. Chapter 1088. Pill Master Tang Ao, you made me wait for a long time. Jin Dajiang grumbled unhappily. Other than complaining about Tang Ao's tardiness, he also wanted to vent his dissatisfaction. Of course, this dissatisfaction wasn't directed at Tang Ao, but at Luo Yu and Yin. However, Jin Dajiang didn't have any temper with these two, so he could only grumble. Sister Luo Yu, there are 89 tokens here. According to the agreement, I can exchange them for 1,780 spirit stones. I don't want 80. Sister Luo Yu can just give me 1,700. Tang Ao didn't waste time with the 3. Tang Ao was in a hurry to enter the Earth Bodhisattva Cemetery, so he naturally wouldn't waste time here. Here are 2,000 spirit stones. The extra is a gift from me. After you come out of the Earth Bodhisattva Cemetery, don't forget to concoct pills for me. Luo Yu swung her long white legs as she threw a storage ring to Tang Ao. After Tang Ao caught the storage ring, he scanned it with his soul remembrance. There were indeed 2,000 extreme grade spirit stones inside. Tang Ao was delighted. Sister Luo Yu, don't worry. After I come out of the Earth Bodhisattva Cemetery, I will definitely go to the Black Crow Market to concoct pills for you. We will meet again. In the air above the pill concoction plaza, there was a golden carriage. In front of the carriage were 2 golden dragons. Currently, Kaniki Ken was sitting in the carriage. Murong Yi and Su Lingling, whom Tang Ao had seen before, were standing on either side of Kaniki Ken. Kaniki Ken looked at the token to enter the Earth Bodhisattva Cemetery and asked, Sister Ling, is this the reward for the pill concoction conference? It doesn't seem very useful. Your Highness, this token seems to be an entry token to a low-level ruin. It's not very useful to Your Highness, Su Lingling said after some thought. Oh, in that case, throw it away. Kaneki Kin casually threw the storage ring away. Tang Ao was on his way to the South Wind Forest when he suddenly felt something falling from above. Tang Ao looked up and saw that it was a storage ring. Seeing this storage ring, Tang Ao felt a little strange, because this kind of ring was used to store the entry token to the Xitigarbis Cemetery. Tang Ao extended his hand to grab the ring and immediately sent his soul remembrance inside. Then, Tang Ao discovered that there were 95 tokens in the ring. With 95 tokens, this ring belongs to Kaneki Kin. At this thought, Tang Ao activated his skypolarity eyes and looked up. He saw a golden chariot flash across the sky. In the carriage, Tang Ao felt Kaneki Kin's aura, as well as two somewhat familiar auras. After pondering for a moment, Tang Ao recalled the origin of the other two auras. They were the two guys who were suspected to be Yin-Yang realm powerhouses. Without continuing to think about Kaneki Kin, Tang Ao rushed to the two-story building again as fast as he could. However, Tang Ao didn't see Luo Yu workshop master. Clearly, Luo Yu had already left. Just as Tang Ao was about to leave for the South Wind Forest, Tang Ao saw a dejected Jin Dajiang. "Shopkeeper Jin, where did you go?" "Pill Master Tang, why did you come back?" If it was before, Jin Dajiang would have been extremely happy to see Tang Ao, but now, Jin Dajiang couldn't be happy at all. This was because the token Tang Ao gave to Luo Yu had been taken away by Luo Yu's subordinates. Moreover, under the threat of Luo Yu and Yin Yu, Jin Dajiang didn't dare say anything. "Shopkeeper Jin, I'll give you all these tokens. How many items can you exchange for them? Hurry up and give them to me. I'm in a hurry." Tang Ao was in a hurry. Thus, he handed over the storage ring that he had picked up earlier. Chapter 1089. Pill Master Tang Ao, I don't have that many spirit stones on me. Why don't I give you the rest after you come out from the Xitigarbis Cemetery? Jin Dajiang hated himself for not bringing all the spirit stones he had saved up with him. "Give me all the spirit stones you have, and give me some spiritual herbs and materials." Tang Ao also knew that Jin Dajiang probably didn't have that many supreme grade spirit stones on him. Even though there were more supreme grade spirit stones in the snow plains than in the black-yellow continent, supreme grade spirit stones weren't cabbages. Well said, well said. After listening to Tang Ao's words, Jin Dajiang immediately beamed with joy. Without thinking, Jin Dajiang took out a jade pendant and gave it to Tang Ao. Tang Ao was a top-notch 6th-grade blacksmith, so he could naturally tell that this jade pendant was a spatial storage spirit equipment. After scanning it with his remembrance, Tang Ao was quite satisfied with the jade pendant. Tang Ao didn't know if he was at a disadvantage or benefiting from this trade, but Tang Ao was very satisfied with this trade. After all, these tokens were picked up by Tang Ao. No matter how many things he traded, Tang Ao would still profit. Now that he had traded so many things, Tang Ao was naturally very satisfied. When Tang Ao arrived at the South Wind Forest, Li Muling and the others were already waiting for him there. When Li Muling saw Tang Ao, he threw a token to enter Xitigarbis Cemetery to Tang Ao. Let's set off after a few words. In the first 3 regions, individuals can move freely. After a month, we will gather at the Phoenix Cry Mountain in the 4th region and move in pairs. After another 2 months, we will gather at the Thunder Dragon Valley in the 7th region. That's about it. There shouldn't be any problems, right? After Li Muling finished speaking, he looked around. Everyone nodded in understanding. Since you all know, let's go to the entrance of Xitigarbis Cemetery and wait for it to open. Thus, under Li Muling's lead, Tang Ao and the others arrived at Xitigarbis Cemetery. At this moment, many people had already gathered at the entrance of the Xitigarbis Cemetery. Just like Tang Ao's group, these people formed teams with different numbers. Just as Tang Ao was looking around, Chu Shuihan's angry voice rang out. Tang Ao was a little confused. He didn't know why Chu Shuihan suddenly stopped him. "Didn't you want to team up with me?" Chu Shuihan glanced at Li Muling and the others. Tang Ao was with them. Obviously, he had formed a team with them. Miss Chu, I was just joking at that time. The Xitigarbis cemetery is too dangerous. I can't protect you. Tang Ao's strength was now damaged. He couldn't even take care of himself. Naturally, he couldn't protect Chu Xiuhan. Who needs your protection? Chu Xiuhan said like a little girl when she heard Tang Ao's words. Xiuhan, you will enter the Xitigarbis cemetery with Fei Qian and the others, Old Medicine King said without waiting for Tang Ao to speak. If it wasn't for the bone spirits restriction, Old Medicine King would have entered the Xitigarbis cemetery himself. Since he couldn't go in himself, Old Medicine King even hesitated to let Chu Xiuhan in. However, if he didn't let Chu Xiuhan in, she would miss this opportunity. The sacred mountain emitted a rainbow light. This was something that had not happened in thousands of years. Although he didn't see it with his own eyes, Old Medicine King could vaguely feel that there must be an amazing opportunity in the Xitigarbis cemetery. Great-grandfather, I think, Xiuhan, don't be stubborn. The opportunity in the Xitigarbis cemetery is different from the past. The danger is also different. Listen to me. Chapter 1090. Tang Ao had been in the Winter Plains for nearly a year now, so he had gained a certain understanding of Xitigarbis cemetery. In Tang Ao's opinion, Xitigarbis cemetery was similar to the Black-Yellow Continent's Netherworld Emperor's secret realm. In the Netherworld Emperor's secret realm, Tang Ao had gained quite a bit. Now that he was about to enter Xitigarbis cemetery, Tang Ao hoped to find the spirit ice fruit to recover his strength and improve his cultivation. Through the alchemy conference, a total of 5,500 tokens had been distributed. The remaining 4,500 tokens were in the hands of the other top forces. For example, Alchemy Valley, Armament Valley, Treasure Trove Pavilion, and Black Crow Market all had a certain number of tokens. In the history of Xitigarbis Cemetery, the Divine Mountain had once exploded with 4-color divine light. After that, 4 top forces emerged in the Winter Plains: Armament Valley, Nether Ghost Valley, Alchemy Valley, and the Overlord of the Winter Plains, Lightning Temple. No one knew what the 4 forces had obtained from Xitigarbis Cemetery, but there was no doubt that they had obtained an amazing opportunity to become the top forces of the Winter Plains. The 7-color divine light that had erupted from Xitigarbis Cemetery was naturally no small matter. Buzz. At this moment, the spiritual energy in the surrounding space fluctuated violently. A faint black spiritual energy barrier appeared in front of everyone. 9 old men walked forward after the barrier appeared. Tang Ao had seen some of them before, while others he hadn't. However, all 9 of them had one thing in common, and that was that they were all very powerful. Among the 9, Tang Ao had seen 3 of them before: the purple-robed elder who presided over the alchemy conference, the Black Crow Market's deputy Inu, and the Old Medicine King. As for the remaining 6 old men, Tang Ao had never seen them before, but the powerful aura they exuded still made Tang Ao secretly cautious. Among these 9 old men, the one with the highest cultivation had already reached the peak of life and death realm level 9. This level of cultivation was even stronger than Lei Lingyun, whom Tang Ao had seen at the Alchemy Plaza. Lei Lingyun was only at the early stage of life and death realm, but this white-browed elder had been stuck at the peak of life and death realm for a long time. When Tang Ao saw the 9 people step forward, they each took out a jade pendant. This jade pendant seemed to be a part of a complete jade pendant. Tang Ao's guess was correct. After the 9 elders activated their spiritual power, the jade pendants flew out of their hands and formed a complete jade pendant in the air. Then, the 9 of them poured their powerful spiritual power into the barrier, forcibly tearing a hole in the black barrier. As soon as the gap was torn open, several black shadows quickly flashed out of the barrier. Tang Ao fixed his eyes on them. These flashing black shadows were actually extremely weak martial artists. A cultivator with a broken arm staggered to the Old Medicine King's side and said tiredly, "Grandmaster, I'm the only one left from the Alchemy Valley's group of 12. This time, The mountain in the 9th region of the Xitigarbis cemetery exploded with 7-colored light, and the demonic beasts in the cemetery are very active. Some of the top demonic beasts that have been in hibernation for a long time have awakened. My senior brothers and I encountered a peak rank 6 shadow beast, and only I was lucky enough to escape. Go and rest first. After listening to the disciples' report, the old medicine king's brows furrowed even deeper. Chapter 1091. These entry tokens were similar to the teleportation jade talisman in that they both had a teleportation function. The only difference was that the teleportation jade talisman could teleport a martial artist anywhere, but this entry token could only teleport a martial artist to the Xitigarbis cemetery. The reason they used these teleportation tokens was to prevent the various factions' martial artists from killing each other. The Xitigarbis cemetery was boundless. These tokens could teleport a martial artist to any location in the first 3 regions of the cemetery. It could be said that if one couldn't search, the chances of encountering other martial artists were extremely low. In a spacious valley in the Xitigarbis cemetery, a white light slowly disappeared. Tang Ao's 2 feet landed on solid ground. Tang Ao spread out his soul remembrance and discovered that he was in a mountain range. There were many low-rank demonic beasts in the mountain range. As for other martial artists, Tang Ao didn't discover a single one. At the same time, Tang Ao discovered that there were many low-rank spirit herbs in the mountain range. However, these spirit herbs were very common, so Tang Ao wasn't very interested. After scouting the surroundings, Tang Ao felt very helpless. Before entering the Xitigarbis cemetery, Tang Ao had spent a lot of effort to prepare many maps. However, after Tang Ao looked around, Tang Ao discovered that he was in an area that no one had explored before. This was because this mountain range hadn't appeared on any maps. Unable to determine his location, Tang Ao took out his communication pearl. As long as he was within 10,000 kilometers, Tang Ao would be able to sense Chu Yuqing and the others. However, Tang Ao's communication pearl couldn't sense Chu Yuqing and the others. Clearly, they weren't close to Tang Ao. Tang Ao's main goal in coming to the Xitigarbis cemetery was to find the spirit ice fruit. Right now, Tang Ao didn't even know where he was, so he naturally couldn't find the spirit ice fruit forest based on the map. With a thought, Tang Ao soared into the sky. After determining a direction, he flew over. The spirit grasses around this valley were too low in grade, and their value was not high. Therefore, Tang Ao wanted to leave this valley and explore other places. As he flew, Tang Ao paid attention to the terrain below. However, the Xitigarbis cemetery was simply too big. Even though Tang Ao had a lot of maps on him, after flying for 2 hours, Tang Ao was still unable to find the place on the maps. At the same time, Tang Ao's communication bead was also unable to detect anyone. The communication pearl didn't detect Chu Yuqing and the others, but Tang Ao's soul remembrance did detect a few martial artists. Tang Ao was very puzzled. He had been flying for 2 hours and hadn't found anyone else. How did these guys gather here so easily? As their cultivation was not weak, Tang Ao did not rush over. Instead, he stopped at a distance. Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to investigate and found that the martial artists of the 3 factions were confronting each other. In Tang Ao's direction were 2 beautiful young girls. The 2 of them were extremely pretty and looked somewhat similar. Clearly, they were a pair of sisters. The group on the left had the most people, a total of 17 people. The leader's cultivation was also extremely high, unexpectedly being at the 5th stage of the life and death realm. Although the group on the right had fewer people, they were all life and death realm martial artists. Hey, this group of black-hearted merchants, they tricked me again. In the group on the right, a martial artist carrying a totem pillar on his shoulder said, "What? Did you also come here to find the sublime brightness fruit?" Of the 2 young girls, the slightly older one softly said, "You guys leave. Peishiyu, want all of the sublime brightness fruits here." The one speaking was the leader of the group on the left. Clearly, He recognized both groups and didn't care about them. Chapter 1092. Who is it come out? Just as Tang Ao was using his soul remembrance to observe these people, the blue-clothed Mo, Qingling suddenly yelled in the direction where Tang Ao was hiding. After Mo, Qingling yelled, the younger Mo Qingru immediately shot out a cold star. This cold star flashed, and when Tang Ao looked over, he saw that it was a 3-inch silver needle. Although Tang Ao didn't know how Mo Qingling found him, Tang Ao's hands weren't slow. The netherworld sword slashed out 3 times, and the dozens of silver needles were all blocked by Tang Ao. After blocking the silver needles, Tang Ao didn't stop. These 3 groups of people were all stronger than him, and they were gathered here for the sublime clear fruit. Now that he had discovered their secret, these people definitely wouldn't let him leave so easily. Tang Ao had just retreated when an enormous thorn suddenly shot out of the ground where Tang Ao had just been standing. If Tang Ao had retreated even a second later, this enormous thorn would have definitely pierced through Tang Ao. This enormous thorn came from the masked woman behind Pei Shiyu. The woman's face was covered with a light veil, and her eyes were azure, making her look slightly strange. After the enormous thorn didn't pierce Tang Ao, the woman waved her hand, and the enormous thorn retracted back into the ground. Tang Ao's soul remembrance chased after it, but there was no trace of the enormous thorn. Tang Ao hesitated as he felt that the giant thorn was too strange. This time, he directly rose from the ground and flew into the distance. Don't let him go. Zhuang Dong, who was carrying an enormous totem on his shoulder, saw that Tang Ao was escaping and immediately yelled out before chasing after Tang Ao. When everyone saw Zhuang Dong's actions, they were first stunned, not understanding when Zhuang Dong had become so enthusiastic. However, when they saw the direction Tang Ao flew in, they couldn't help but curse Zhuang Dong for being shameless. This was because the direction Tang Ao fled in was the direction marked with the sublime clear fruit. Zhuang Dong naturally wasn't actually chasing after Tang Ao, but rather the sublime clear fruit. Quickly chase. We can't let Zhuang Dong monopolize the sublime clear fruit. Pei Shiyu waved his large blade and chased first. Qingru, let's go too. Mo Qingru nodded, then held her sister's hand and flew towards the direction where Tang Ao escaped. Tang Ao, who was fleeing all the way, didn't expect this group of people to be so narrow-minded. He just happened to hear them talking about the sublime Ming fruit. He didn't even know where the sublime Ming fruit was, but this group of people still chased after him. Moreover, the group of people chasing after him were not any weaker than him. At present, Tang Ao's strength had yet to recover. Thus, the distance between the two of them continued to close. Tang Ao's soul remembrance swept behind him and found that Zhuang Dong was getting closer and closer. Although using the teleportation jade talisman in Xidagarba Cemetery was extremely dangerous, Tang Ao still had to take it out. Although using the teleportation jade talisman in Xidagarba Cemetery was extremely dangerous, Tang Ao had no choice but to take it out. Right now, although Tang Ao didn't know where he was, he knew without a doubt that other than the group of martial artists behind him, there weren't any other dangers. Xidagarba Cemetery was split into large regions. Tang Ao guessed that he was currently in the first region. However, after using the teleportation jade talisman, Tang Ao didn't know where he would appear. If he appeared in a region near the back, with Tang Ao's current strength, he wouldn't have the ability to protect himself. Chapter 1093. However, it could not be said that he ran into the wrong direction, since he had encountered the Chongming fruit. The Chongming fruit was a first-rank immortal spirit herb, and it definitely did not exist in the Xianling continent. Since he had encountered a treasure like the Chongming fruit here, it would be worth the risk. Thinking of this, Tang Ao did not hesitate and flew towards the Chongming fruit tree. Zhuang Dong was not chasing after Tang Ao in the first place. After seeing the Chongming fruit tree, Dong completely ignored the ant Tang Ao. In the eyes of Dong, who was at the 5th level of life and death realm, the 4th level of Sea of Souls realm Tang Ao was just an ant. However, what made Dong furious was that this ant actually dared to think about the Chongming fruit. Brat, you are seeking death. Dong saw Tang Ao flying towards the Chongming fruit tree and immediately yelled out, throwing the totem on his shoulder at the same time. Tang Ao had just plucked a Chongming fruit tree when he felt an evil wind coming from behind him. Tang Ao did not dare to be careless as he took out his netherworld sword and slashed at it. Clang! After the collision, Tang Ao felt his hand go numb, and the netherworld sword also slightly shook. Tang Ao was a little surprised as he looked at the giant totem engraved with mysterious runes. The netherworld sword was a grade 9 divine weapon, but in the collision just now, Tang Ao's netherworld sword was actually at a disadvantage. Although this was related to Tang Ao's low cultivation, it was enough to show that this totem was not ordinary. After blocking Dong's totem, Tang Ao did not stay idle. He saw that Tang Ao's eyes and hands were fast, and another 3 Chongming fruits were plucked by Tang Ao. Tang Ao's actions made Dong seethe with anger. Brat, stop! Dong waved his hand and retrieved the totem. Then, he hugged the totem with both hands and smashed it down on Tang Ao's head with the force of Mount Tai. Feeling the powerful force under the totem, Tang Ao did not dare to face it head-on. He directly used his movement technique and escaped from under the totem. Tang Ao could tell that Dong's totem pole was very powerful. In addition, Dong's brute strength was also very impressive. In a head-on clash, he was definitely not a match for Dong. However, Dong had a major weakness, and that was that he wasn't nimble enough. Although he was extremely powerful, he lacked flexibility. Once he made a move, it would be very straightforward. After dodging Dong's attack, Tang Ao once again swam to the top of the Chongming fruit tree. But this time, when Dong looked at Tang Ao's back, the corner of his mouth raised into a smile. Dong held the totem pole with both hands and violently smashed it into the air. There was clearly nothing in the air, but there was a dull thud. With this muffled sound, Tang Ao, who was in mid-air, felt a tightness in his chest. Then he spat out a mouthful of blood. Immediately, Tang Ao felt that the spiritual power in his body was not flowing smoothly, and he directly fell from mid-air. There was no spiritual power to protect his body, and he did not summon his life soul. Falling from such a height, even Tang Ao's body could not withstand it. Fortunately, although the spiritual power was not flowing smoothly, Tang Ao's soul remembrance was not too affected. With a flash of golden light, Tang Ao summoned the Battle Sage Bone Life Soul. Under the protection of the Battle Sage Bone Life Soul, Tang Ao fell straight to the ground. After Tang Ao fell to the ground, Dong's big hand grabbed towards Tang Ao. However, before he could catch Tang Ao, Dong's soul remembrance swept the figures of Pei Shiyu and the others. Chapter 1094. After Tang Ao fell to the ground, his sluggish spiritual power recovered. Tang Ao's current cultivation was indeed inferior to Dong's, but Tang Ao's soul remembrance was far superior to Dong's. Tang Ao also discovered Pei Shiyu and the others chasing after him. However, Tang Ao knew that Pei Shiyu and the others wouldn't be able to make it because in another direction, there were 5 more people rushing towards Pei Shiyu and the others. Clearly, they were going for Pei Shiyu. Tang Ao knew that Pei Shiyu wouldn't be able to make it, but Dong didn't know. After hastily plucking a few sublime Ming fruits, Dong looked at Tang Ao with disdain and immediately fled in a certain direction. When Tang Ao saw Dong hastily flee, he found it a bit funny. This Dong was too afraid of Pei Shiyu. After plucking a few sublime Ming fruits, he immediately fled. However, it was also because of this that Tang Ao benefited. Under Tang Ao's soul remembrance, Pei Shiyu and the others were currently fighting with another group of people. Although Tang Ao didn't know the reason, Tang Ao wouldn't miss such a rare opportunity. Tang Ao leapt up and swept the remaining 30 or so sublime Ming fruits on the sublime Ming fruit tree before swaggering off in another direction. Wang Qinhu, you madman. The sublime Ming fruit is just ahead. Zhuang Dong and an ant have already been gone for a long time. If you continue to waste time here with me, the sublime Ming fruit won't have anything to do with you. Pei Shiyu looked at a young man wearing beast skin armor and roared. Pei Shiyu, you lied to me twice before. Do you want to lie to me a third time? Stop talking nonsense and take out the sublime Ming fruit. Wang Qinhu didn't believe a single word of Pei Shiyu's and directly asked Pei Shiyu for the sublime Ming fruit. Big brother Wang, this has nothing to do with us sisters. Can we go over? Mo Qingru blinked at Wang Qinhu and said timidly, No, you're with Pei Shiyu, so you're clearly in cahoots. If you don't hand over the Chongming fruit today, don't even think of leaving. Mo Qingru's honey trap worked on other martial artists, but it didn't work on Wang Qinhu. I insist on leaving. As soon as Wang Qinhu's voice fell, Zhong Ming, who was standing beside Pei Shiyu, took a step forward, obviously intending to leave. Zhong Ming was the leader of Zhuang Dong's group. He had just received a message from Zhuang Dong saying that he had already obtained the Chongming fruit. Just now, Zhuang Dong had taken the lead to chase after Tang Ao. Of course, it wasn't Zhuang Dong's intention, but he had received his instructions. Now that the Chongming fruit was in his hands, Zhongming naturally did not want to continue treading on muddy waters. The people behind Zhongming also followed Zhongming to the side. Obviously, they were going to leave with him. Zhongming, you're not giving me face. Do it. Seeing that Zhongming was determined to leave, Wang Qinhu's temper immediately flared up. Without waiting for others to react, a steel rod smashed towards Zhongming's head. Tang Ao hurriedly fled all the way until his soul remembrance could no longer detect Pei Shiyu and Zhuang Dong. Only then did Tang Ao stop. After stopping, Tang Ao took out an appearance change pill without saying anything. Although the appearance change pill's pill chi could be easily seen by others, only people with a cultivation far higher than Tang Ao could do it. Normal martial artists wouldn't be able to do it. After Tang Ao transformed into a pale scholar, he probed his storage ring with his soul remembrance. Just now, he had picked the Chongming fruit in such a hurry that Tang Ao didn't know how many Chongming fruits he had picked. Now that he had counted them, Tang Ao was very satisfied. He had picked a total of 39 Chongming fruits. The Chongming fruit could be used to refine the Chongming pill. The Chongming pill was a pill used by Yin-Yang realm martial artists, so Tang Ao didn't need it yet. Chapter 1095. Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to scan his surroundings a few times. Tang Ao was helpless because after flying this far, Tang Ao still hadn't found a place on the map. In other words, Tang Ao still didn't know where he was in Xidagarba Cemetery. Tang Ao took out the map from Shangguanwan, and carefully examined it again. Tang Ao had already looked at this map a few times, but Tang Ao still hadn't seen a single place marked on the map. This map recorded the location of the Spirit Ice Fruit Forest. From a map, it could be seen that the Spirit Ice Fruit Forest grew under a canyon. However, in the time Tang Ao had been in Xidagarba Cemetery, he had only seen mountains and plains. Tang Ao hadn't seen a single canyon. Unable to find the canyon where the Spirit Ice Fruit Forest was, Tang Ao took out his communication bead. However, there was still no news on the communication bead. Clearly, Chu Yuqing and the others still weren't within 10,000 kilometers of Tang Ao. Pill Master Tang Ao, save me. Just as Tang Ao was about to leave, a voice came from afar. The one calling for help was a young man. Tang Ao was a bit confused because Tang Ao didn't recognize this young man. However, this young man was able to call out his name, so he clearly knew him. However, what confused Tang Ao was that when Tang Ao scanned the area with his soul remembrance, he didn't find that the young man was in any danger. Instead, when the brown-clothed young man saw that Tang Ao wasn't moving, his eyes revealed a greedy smile. This young man was a deacon of Treasure Gathering Tower. Although he was young, his strength wasn't ordinary. Others didn't know who the mysterious person in Treasure Gathering Tower was, but Jia Hua knew. As one of the 9 deacons of Treasure Gathering Tower, he knew many things that others didn't. Back then, Jia Hua had been tempted by Tang Ao's astonishing wealth. However, Inyu had also set his eyes on Tang Ao, so Jia Hua didn't have a chance. Now, in the wilderness of the Xidagarba cemetery, Tang Ao was all alone. Jia Hua deserved to be lucky. When Tang Ao saw the smile at the corner of Jia Hua's mouth, he realized that something was wrong. Therefore, the moment Jia Hua got close to him, Tang Ao's green lotus sword soul was also instantly found and violently stabbed towards Jia Hua. Although the green lotus sword spirit was powerful, Tang Ao's cultivation was greatly damaged. The green lotus sword spirit's power was not even 30% of its peak. Although Jia Hua was surprised by Tang Ao's decisiveness, the heaven gathering axe in his hand was not slow at all. With one chop of the axe, Tang Ao's green lotus sword soul was sent flying by the heaven Luo axe. After sending the green lotus sword soul flying, Jia Hua did not immediately chase after Tang Ao. Instead, he once again struck the green lotus sword soul with his axe. Jia Hua's powerful and heavy axe strike directly covered the green lotus sword soul with cracks. The green lotus sword soul was connected to Tang Ao's life spirit. Once the green lotus sword soul was damaged, Tang Ao also instantly spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was as pale as paper. Tang Ao was secretly shocked by this Jia Hua's means. However, Tang Ao did not understand why Jia Hua would want to scheme against him, since he had no relationship with Jia Hua at all. Perhaps seeing the doubt in Tang Ao's eyes, Jia Hua smiled to himself. Alchemist Tang Ao, since you are already a dead man, I will let you die knowing. My name is Jia Hua, one of the 9 deacons of the Treasure Trove Pavilion. Jia Hua did not continue to attack Tang Ao. Jia Hua was a life and death realm 2nd layer warrior, while Tang Ao was just an ant at the 4th layer of the Sea of Souls realm. After his life spirit had been shattered, Jia Hua naturally did not have to rush to kill him. Most importantly, Jia Hua had questions for Tang Ao. Chapter 1096. Pill Master Tang Ao, do you remember that you and young Master Wang Yang bid for this set of keys at the Cloud Foothill auction? A set of keys appeared in Jia Hua's hand. Using his soul remembrance to scan it, he found that there were many complex inscription arrays on the keys. Seeing this set of keys, Tang Ao was slightly surprised. After all, Inyu had also eyed this set of keys. Inyu was a 6th level life and death realm expert, while Jia Hua was only 2nd level. No matter what, Jia Hua couldn't have stolen this set of keys from Inyu. Why do you have this set of keys? Although he didn't understand how this set of keys appeared in Jia Hua's hands, Tang Ao wasn't very concerned about this question. The reason he asked this was because Tang Ao wanted to stall for time. Just now, Tang Ao wasn't on guard, and Jia Hua shattered his green lotus sword soul, causing Tang Ao to suffer greatly. However, Tang Ao had a soul C in his body, and the green lotus sword soul was a life soul with a soul altar. After Tang Ao withdrew the green lotus sword soul back into his body, the green lotus sword soul quickly recovered. If he fought with Jia Hua, Tang Ao knew that he wasn't Jia Hua's opponent, but if he fought now, Jia Hua might not be able to keep him. Pill Master Tang Ao, I advise you not to use the teleportation jade talisman to escape. Jia Hua didn't answer Tang Ao's question, but his eyes were filled with confidence that he had Tang Ao in the bag. Xidagarba cemetery space is rather special. Other than the entrance medallion, any spatial power used in the cemetery will be shattered by the cemetery's rules. If you don't believe me, you could try. Hearing Jia Hua say this, Tang Ao put away the spatial jade talisman. Tang Ao didn't fully believe Jia Hua's words. I can tell you the use of this set of keys, But I have to ask you a question first. What is this area that we are in right now? Our Gathering Treasure Tower has never explored this area before, but if we keep heading east, we will reach 90 Feet Mountain. However, this information doesn't seem to be very useful to Pill Master Tang Ao. As Jia Hua spoke, he swung his heaven-gathering axe at Tang Ao's head. Jia Hua could tell that Tang Ao wouldn't tell him the secret of the keys. Since this was the case, he might as well get rid of Tang Ao first and get Tang Ao's treasures. After suffering a huge loss, Tang Ao had been on guard against Jia Hua. Now that Jia Hua suddenly attacked, Tang Ao was not too surprised. Tang Ao didn't clash head-on with Jia Hua. After summoning the battle sage Bone Life Soul, he transformed into a golden beam of light and flew into the distance. Jia Hua axe missing, and he regretted. When a lion hunts a rabbit, it holds nothing back. Just now, because he wanted to ask Tang Ao about the use of the key, he did not kill him. Now that he thought about it, even if he did not kill Tang Ao, he would have at least crippled Tang Ao's cultivation. Although Tang Ao escaped first, Jia Hua's speed was not slow at all. Tang Ao had just released his soul sense when he saw a huge white light coming at him. Tang Ao used his netherworld sword to block. In an instant, Tang Ao was sent flying by the netherworld sword. Pill Master Tang Ao, since you don't want to talk, this Jia will send you on your way. Jia Hua took a step forward, holding the heaven-gathering axe with both hands and chopping down at Tang Ao's head. The surging spiritual power caused the surrounding trees to sway unsteadily. Sand and stones flew around Tang Ao. The terrifying spiritual pressure almost forced Tang Ao to lie on the ground. Chapter 1097. After using the Shinnon Cauldron to block Jia Hua's heaven-gathering axe, Tang Ao instantly released the underworld life soul. Following that, a pitch-black metal chain flew towards Jia Hua. The sudden appearance of the metal chain surprised Jia Hua, but he still dodged to the side and dodged the attack of the 10,000 ghosts seeking soul. However, Jia Hua did not expect that the 10,000 ghosts seeking soul was just a feint. Tang Ao's true goal was to use the netherworld flame to injure him. Just as Jia Hua dodged the 10,000 ghosts seeking soul, a scorching flame appeared out of thin air. It suddenly enveloped Jia Hua and burned him. Although the sneak attack had succeeded, Tang Ao's expression was very solemn. This was because Tang Ao had seen Jia Hua being devoured by the netherworld flame with his own eyes, but Tang Ao could not sense Jia Hua's figure in the netherworld flame at all. Here, Jia Hua had already appeared behind Tang Ao at some point in time. The heaven-gathering axe in his hand slashed at Tang Ao's back without hesitation. Tang Ao used his sword to block the attack, but he was sent flying by Jia Hua's axe. This attack caused Tang Ao to hastily retaliate, causing his organs to churn from Jia Hua's attack. Not only did Tang Ao regain his senses, Jia Hua once again appeared beside Tang Ao. At the same time, a powerful whip kick swept towards Tang Ao. Tang Ao could no longer dodge this attack. Tang Ao was ruthlessly smashed to the ground by Jia Hua's kick. Puchi! Tang Ao spat out a mouthful of blood. The difference in strength between him and Jia Hua was too great. If Jia Hua wanted to, he would have died long ago. And, just as Tang Ao was considering if he should use the spatial jade talisman to escape, Tang Ao suddenly discovered a flying car speeding over at an astonishing speed. This speed could no longer be described as fast. It was practically as fast as lightning. Even with Tang Ao's powerful remembrance, he could only capture the flying car's shadow. Without much thought, Tang Ao charged towards the path the flying car was about to take. Jia Hua was taken aback at first, but then he also noticed the flying car. Immediately, Jia Hua gave up on the idea of capturing Tang Ao alive and slashed at Tang Ao's waist with his axe. If Tang Ao were to dodge this attack, he would immediately fall into Jia Hua's hands. If he did not retreat, the axe would immediately cut Tang Ao into two halves. Without much hesitation, Tang Ao abruptly turned sideways without slowing down. A rain of blood exploded on Tang Ao's waist. Tang Ao felt a tearing pain on his waist. Lowering his head to take a look, the left side of Tang Ao's waist was already badly mutilated, looking extremely horrifying. But at this moment, the flying car that Tang Ao had just discovered also arrived in a flash. Tang Ao endured the pain and flipped himself up onto the speeding flying car. This flying car speed was something Tang Ao had never seen before. Just as Tang Ao jumped onto the flying car instantly flew tens of thousands of kilometers. Jia Hua watched helplessly as Tang Ao escaped onto the flying car, unable to do anything. The flying car's speed surpassed Jia Hua's understanding of speed. Jia Hua was a martial artist who excelled in movement techniques and speed, but after seeing the flying car's speed, Jia Hua discovered that he knew nothing about speed. After Tang Ao escaped onto the flying car, he immediately cupped his fists and said, "I am Tang Ao. Because I was being chased by an enemy, I mistakenly entered a friend's flying car. Once I finish healing my injuries, I will immediately leave. Please allow me, friend." After speaking, Tang Ao immediately sat down cross-legged. At the same time, he circulated his jade bone life soul to start healing his injuries. Tang Ao had entered the Xitigarbha cemetery this time to find the spirit ice fruit to heal his injuries. In the end, he didn't find the spirit ice fruit, and Tang Ao's injuries worsened. Chapter 1098. Immediately, Tang Ao discovered something very shocking. There was no one else on the flying car besides him. Worried that there was something fishy about the flying car, Tang Ao used his sky polar pupil to scan the flying car. However, even with the sky polar pupil, the flying car was still empty. An extremely fast flying car flying in the sky automatically made Tang Ao feel that it was too strange. Facing this situation, Tang Ao prepared to run. Ever since Tang Ao cultivated the sky polar pupil, he rarely encountered this kind of situation. With the sky polar pupil, there were 3 types of things that Tang Ao couldn't see through. The first was a martial artist with a cultivation far higher than Tang Ao's. Just like the young man and woman Tang Ao accidentally discovered during the pill concoction conference, Tang Ao estimated that their cultivation had already reached the yin-yang realm. In his previous life, Tang Ao's P cultivation had only reached the astral reaching realm, and the yin-yang realm was a realm above the astral reaching realm. The second type was some powerful innate spirit treasure. Just like when Tang Ao used the sky polar pupil to scan the chaotic 6-light mirror, it could only see a piece of nothingness and nothing else. As for the final situation, it would be a very high-level spirit formation. Tang Ao suspected that there was a barrier array on the flying car that the sky polar pupil couldn't see through. This barrier array didn't have any reaction when it was calm, but once it was activated, it would be full of killing intent. Just as Tang Ao was about to leave, Tang Ao's soul remembrance suddenly scanned the room. After the flying car left the outermost deck, there was only one room left. In this room, Tang Ao saw an inconceivable thing. It was an axe, and the axe was filled with an ancient aura. This aura was very familiar to Tang Ao. The chaotic 6-light mirror and Farmer God Cauldron both had similar auras. Moreover, when Tang Ao saw this axe, he couldn't help but feel a sense of inferiority in his heart. It was as if this big axe could easily turn him into ashes with a single swing. Needless to say, this axe was definitely a chaotic hexlight state treasure. Apart from the axe, Tang Ao also saw a huge bell that was as tall as a person. This giant bell seemed to have infinite magic power, attracting Tang Ao to enter this room to take a look. Although the giant bell was calm at this moment, Tang Ao seemed to be able to see mountains of corpses and seas of blood in the world, and this giant bell stood above the mountains of corpses and seas of blood, releasing a monstrous might. Although he couldn't name it, this giant bell was definitely a supreme treasure. This is the saint gathering incense. Tang Ao tried his best to shift his gaze away from the giant bell and the axe, only to see a half-burnt incense stick. Such a treasure had appeared in the Shinnong Emperor's alchemy jade slip. This kind of fragrance was not acquired, but an extremely magical, innate, spiritual object. It was said that as long as one refined this saint-gathering incense, they would be able to condense a saint Tao. What is a saint? Transcending heaven and earth, not being bound by the 5 elements, not falling into the cycle of reincarnation, not being injured, and not dying. After seeing this saint-gathering incense, Tang Ao couldn't help but take a step forward. However, after Tang Ao took this step, the chaotic 6-light mirror on Tang Ao's neck instantly lit up, and a cool and refreshing feeling entered Tang Ao's mind. Tang Ao's slightly dazed mind instantly woke up. At the same time, Tang Ao could clearly feel that the chaotic 6-light mirror was constantly sending him thoughts to leave this place. Chapter 1099. After thinking for a moment, Tang Ao took out an invisibility talisman and slapped it on his body. Immediately after, Tang Ao went around the back corner of the flying car and hid. Tang Ao's sole remembrance wasn't wrong. Just as Tang Ao hid, 2 male and 1 female martial artists came to the deck of the flying car. The 3 of them came here differently from Tang Ao. They clearly came for the flying car. Senior Brother Zhou, it's good that the flying car's speed is sometimes fast and sometimes slow. Otherwise, us 3 would have caught up quite a bit. Senior Brother Wang is right. If the speed of the flying carriage hadn't suddenly slowed down, we wouldn't have been able to catch up. After hearing the 3 people's conversation, Tang Ao's heart was in turmoil. The flying car's current speed already shocked Tang Ao, but from the 3 people's words, Tang Ao knew that the flying car's current speed was still at its slowest. Tang Ao couldn't imagine what the peak speed of a flying car was like. It's good that junior sister Zhao's divine movement talisman is powerful. Otherwise, we would have lost them long ago. The man called Senior Brother Zhou didn't hesitate to praise junior sister Zhao. Junior sister Zhao heard her senior brother's praise and immediately blushed. Junior sister Zhao clearly had special feelings for this handsome senior brother. Senior Brother Zhou, what's that? At this moment, the youth called Junior Brother Wang also discovered the treasure in the room. However, what Junior Brother Wang saw was a purple skull. There was a hole in the middle of the skull's eyebrows. It looked a little evil. I don't know either. Everyone be careful. Let's go in and see. Senior Brother Zhou's eyes flashed with killing intent, and he immediately pushed open the door and prepared to walk in. However, just as Senior Brother Zhou took a step, Poochie sounds of sharp weapons entering flesh rang out. Senior Brother Zhou only felt a stabbing pain in his back and waist. Immediately, the spirit power in his body slowly disappeared. Senior Brother Zhou turned around with difficulty and saw the sharp weapons in his junior brother and junior sister's hands. Why? He still wanted to ask why, but he couldn't say anything. His body went limp and fell to the ground. After dealing with Senior Brother Zhou, Junior Brother Wang changed his simple and honest appearance and unceremoniously pulled Junior Sister Zhao into his arms. This Zhou Yin has long since wanted to kill us. If Junior Apprentice Sister hadn't discovered him, we would be the ones dead right now. Yeah, Senior Brother Zhou Yun is at the 4th stage of the life and death realm. If we were to fight him head-on, neither of us would be his opponent. In order to survive, I had to pretend to be in love with him, but Linger, it will always only have Senior Brother Wang in her heart. Tang Ao hid in the corner of the flying car, not daring to make any movements. Although Tang Ao was surprised that the 2 of them had joined forces to attack their senior brother Zhou, Tang Ao also wanted to see what would happen after entering the room. This room that was filled with treasures didn't look dangerous at all. However, when Tang Ao was about to enter, the chaotic hexlight mirror gave off a warning. Clearly, this room wasn't as simple as it looked. Junior Sister Zhao, although we don't recognize most of the things in this room, we can be sure that they are all treasures. How about we go in and split it evenly? Wang Ping held junior sister Zhao in his arms and said with a gentle expression, "Junior sisters, everything belongs to senior brother. Senior brother can keep the things inside. As long as junior sister can stay by senior brother's side forever, I will be very happy." Junior sister, Zhao said in Wang Ping's arms. This seductive expression made Wang Ping's heart flutter. He almost couldn't control himself. However, the pungent smell of blood on the floor made Wang Ping sober up. Chapter 1100. Other than that, Tang Ao also wanted to see what would happen if he entered this strange room. If there were no consequences for the two of them, then Tang Ao didn't mind stealing the giant bell or the axe. Although Jia Hua's Heaven Luo axe was powerful, compared to this axe, it was like a child's toy. Wang Ping looked at the seductive Zhao Ling in his arms and couldn't help but sneer. When he killed Zhou Yun, he only pierced Zhou Yun's dantian with his blade, ready to cripple his spirit force and let him die on his own. However, the cute and helpless Zhao Ling did not hesitate to stab Zhou Yun in the back, killing him on the spot. This seemingly soft little junior sister was definitely not a harmless little rabbit, but a tigress that would eat people without spitting out the bones. "Junior sister Zhao, I'm afraid there's danger inside. Wait for me outside. If there's no danger, I'll take out the things inside and we'll split them evenly. If there's danger, I'll be able to retreat. And, senior brother Wang, be careful." Wang Ping was worried that Zhao Ling would stab him in the back, so he made this suggestion. What he didn't expect was that Zhao Ling agreed without hesitation. Although Wang Ping felt something was wrong, he still carefully opened the door and slowly walked into the room. In the corner, Tang Ao saw Wang Ping enter the room, and his eyes widened. Tang Ao's eyes had already turned into a deep blue snow pattern, clearly using the sky polar eyes. But even with the sky polar eyes, Tang Ao didn't find any danger in the room. At the same time, Tang Ao saw that Wang Ping was safe in the room, and Zhao Ling eyes flashed with a trace of disappointment. Seeing this expression, Tang Ao understood that Zhao Ling didn't like Zhou Yun, nor did she like Wang Ping. Clearly, she wanted the two of them to be cannon fodder, and then she would monopolize the treasures in the room. Seeing that Wang Ping was fine, Zhao Ling asked with concern, "Senior brother Wang, are you all right?" Wang Ping laughed coldly in his heart, but still said in a serious tone, "Junior sister Zhao, don't come in. I can vaguely sense a dangerous aura. Let's split it evenly after I take it out." Tang Ao was still quietly watching from the corner. After seeing that Ping Wang was fine, Tang Ao was also very puzzled. Even the chaotic six-light mirror had warned him about this house. However, from the looks of it, this house was not dangerous at all. Just as Tang Ao was thinking about this, Wang Ping suddenly reached out and grabbed the strange skull. However, the moment Wang Ping grabbed the skull, Tang Ao heard Wang Ping scream. Tang Ao's soul remembrance swept over and saw that Wang Ping's flesh was instantly devoured by an incorporeal energy. The skull in Wang Ping's hand also rolled out of the room until it reached Zhao Linger's feet. Looking at Wang Ping, he had already turned into a black stone and flew into a pill furnace. Tang Ao's soul remembrance swept the pill furnace, and Tang Ao's scalp went numb. This was because the pill furnace was filled with black stones like this. Moreover, this pill furnace's hidden space had no less than 100,000 black stones. Chapter 1101. Ghost Car, One Treasure, One Life. Now that I have given you 2 lives, I will take this skull. Zhao Linger did not dare to stay any longer. Regardless of where she was, she directly jumped off the flying car. After Tang Ao saw Zhao Linger leave, Tang Ao was a little hesitant. Although Tang Ao was very interested in the various treasures in the room, Tang Ao was not prepared to take the risk. Just as Tang Ao was about to leave the strange flying car, Tang Ao was shocked to see that Zhou Yun, who had been killed by Zhao Linger and Wang Ping, had actually come back to life. Moreover, Tang Ao saw that Zhou Yun's fatal injuries had instantly healed, and his dispirited aura had instantly reached the peak of life and death realm level 4. Just as Tang Ao was puzzled, a talisman on Zhou Yun's body that had already lost its effect spontaneously combusted and quickly turned into ashes. After seeing this talisman, Tang Ao's expression became a little interesting. Although it was only a glance, Tang Ao still recognized this talisman. This talisman was called the Death Substitution Talisman. As the name suggested, it could replace a person in death once. However, this Death Substitution Talisman had a big limitation. It was only effective for 3 breaths of time after activating the talisman. In other words, Zhou Yun had already predicted that Wang Ping and Wang Ping would attack him. Therefore, before the two made their move, he activated the Death Substitution Talisman. Zhou Yun looked at the blood stain in the room with a mocking expression. It was left behind by Wang Ping. "Junior brother Wang, don't you know what kind of person junior sister Zhao is? If senior brother did not have this Death Substitution Talisman, you would have died in junior sister Zhao's hands. You actually want to take advantage of her? That's really funny," Zhou Yun said as he took out a bag. Tang Ao knew that this bag was a spirit beast bag. The so-called spirit beast bag was used to store spirit beasts. There was a narrow space inside which spirit beasts could live in for a period of time. However, because the rules of heaven and earth in the spirit beast bag were incomplete, spirit beasts could not live in the bag for a long time. Tang Ao didn't know why Zhou Yun would take out a spirit beast bag, so he could only look at it quietly. Immediately, Tang Ao saw Zhou Yun open the spirit beast pouch, and a cute little snow wolf jumped out. After seeing Zhou Yun, the little fellow intimately licked Zhou Yun's hand. Zhou Yun gently patted its head and whispered a few words into its ear. This snow wolf was extremely obedient. After Zhou Yun finished speaking, it immediately rushed into the room. Then he grabbed a black folding fan with his mouth and tossed it to Zhou Yun. As soon as the fan was flung out, the snow wolf let out a blood-curdling scream. Then, a purple flame appeared out of thin air, and the snow wolf was burned into a pile of ashes by the flame while howling. The ashes drifted to the soil near the roots of a purple flower. As for his beloved pet becoming fertilizer for the violet flower, Zhou Yun did not feel sad at all. Instead, he grabbed the fan and left the place joyfully. Although Zhou Yun was very interested in many of the treasures in the room, one life and one treasure, Zhou Yun did not forget Zhao Linger's words. After playing with the black folding fan in his hand for a while, Zhou Yun also jumped off the flying car. After Zhou Yun left, Tang Ao's figure also appeared. Seeing Zhou Yun and Zhao Linger take out the treasures, Tang Ao also knew how to get the treasures in the room. However, Tang Ao did not have an extra life to exchange for treasures. Tang Ao admitted that he could not do such a crazy thing. Of course, Tang Ao also wanted the treasures inside, but Tang Ao did not intend to use this method to obtain them. Chapter 1102. After Tang Ao jumped down from the air, he arrived in a dense forest. Occasionally, the roars of demonic beasts could be heard from within the forest. Tang Ao also detected several powerful auras within the forest. Thus, Tang Ao determined that this was no longer the first region of the Xidagarba Cemetery. Among these powerful auras, the strongest demonic beast had already reached the life and death realm. However, these demonic beasts clearly weren't Tang Ao's greatest threat. Before entering the Xidagarba Cemetery, Tang Ao had heard more than once that the most dangerous things in the Xidagarba Cemetery weren't the powerful demonic beasts, but the rare and strange poisons. At this moment, Tang Ao's surroundings were filled with a faint purple mist. Once this mist touched his skin, it would seep into his body. Currently, Tang Ao's body had already seeped into a few strands of this purple mist. When Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to investigate, he discovered that this purple mist only entered his body and didn't cause any other effects. However, Tang Ao didn't dare to be careless. He still circulated his soul power and forced the purple mist out of his body. However, What surprised Tang Ao was that this purple mist wasn't that easy to force out of his body. No matter how hard Tang Ao tried, he couldn't force the purple mist out of his body. Instead, there was an unending stream of purple mist that slowly seeped into his body. As the amount of purple mist increased, Tang Ao discovered that his blood had a bit of purple qi. His blood that was tainted by the purple qi quickly began to boil like boiling water. So it's blood poison. Sensing the change in his blood, Tang Ao understood that this purple mist was probably a type of blood poison with a weaker toxicity. Although it was hard to deal with, the toxicity wasn't very strong. Otherwise, Tang Ao wouldn't just have his blood boil. Although his blood boil didn't affect Tang Ao much, this feeling was still very uncomfortable. Tang Ao immediately began to observe his surroundings. Poisons and antidotes were often found together. In the area where Tang Ao was located, there was only a type of dark gray tree. Apart from that, there was also this purple poisonous fog. Needless to say, this dark gray tree was not afraid of the purple mist. Otherwise, it would not be the only tree that could survive in this area. After observing for a while, Tang Ao found a few gray fruits hanging from the top of the tallest tree not far away. After seeing these gray fruits, Tang Ao quickly stepped forward and leaped onto a thick tree trunk. Immediately, Tang Ao plucked all 5 of the transparent gray fruits. This was the first time that Tang Ao saw this kind of gray, transparent fruit. In the Shennong Emperor's spiritual grass jade slip, Tang Ao did not find a similar fruit. However, there was no doubt that these gray transparent fruits were also a very rare type of spirit grass. Otherwise, it would be impossible for the Shennong Emperor's spirit grass jade slip to not have a record of it. After using a clear water technique to wash off the dust on the fruit, Tang Ao picked up the fruit and took a bite. This spirit fruit didn't have any taste when it entered his mouth. It was like chewing wax, very unpalatable. However, after a while, Tang Ao suddenly felt a cool feeling flow through his body. His boiling blood also calmed down. Tang Ao was overjoyed and hastily used his soul remembrance to scan his body. Immediately, Tang Ao saw a light cyan aura flow through his limbs. When the purple mist in his blood saw this cyan aura, it instantly melted and disappeared. As expected, this ancient gray tree can grow in this poisonous mist. It is the antidote to this poisonous mist. However, the taste of this fruit is truly hard to describe. Tang Ao thought to himself. Chapter 11:03. Refreshing Fruit. From now on, this gray fruit will be called refreshing fruit, and this tree will also be called cooling tree. Tang Ao casually gave this gray ancient tree a name and recorded it in the Shennong Emperor's Compendium of Spiritual Herbs. After discovering the refreshing fruit, Tang Ao's understanding of the Xitigarbis Cemetery was refreshed. It was unknown how many planes the Shennong Emperor had visited in his lifetime to write such a wondrous book as the Compendium of Spiritual Herbs. However, not long after Tang Ao arrived at the Xitigarbis Cemetery, he suddenly discovered a spirit fruit that was not mentioned in the Shennong Emperor's book. Up until now, Tang Ao only knew that this spirit fruit could cure the purple mist blood poison. As for its other uses, he still needed to explore. However, Tang Ao did not have that much time to ponder the effects of the refreshing fruit. There was a time limit to entering the Xitigarbis Cemetery. After 6 months, he would be sent to the entrance of the Xitigarbis Cemetery by the transportation jade talisman and leave the Xitigarbis Cemetery. Therefore, Tang Ao had to find the spiritual ice fruit forest within 6 months. With the help of the spiritual ice fruit, his spiritual sea and soul sea would be completely restored. That way, Tang Ao would be able to return to the first stage of the life and death realm. Then, with the help of the more than 3,000 supreme-grade spirit stones that he had traded with Luo Yu and Jin Dajiang, he would quickly increase his cultivation. Tang Ao estimated that 3,000 supreme great spirit stones could barely increase his cultivation to the third stage of the life and death realm. If others knew what Tang Ao was thinking, many would think that Tang Ao was crazy. Generally speaking, 3,000 supreme great spirit stones were enough for a first stage of the life and death realm to the peak of the ninth stage of the life and death realm. However, in Tang Ao's hands, 3,000 supreme great spirit stones could barely increase his cultivation to the third stage of the life and death realm. In fact, Tang Ao was right. A martial artist with the 9 dragons, Emperor's Jade Body, would consume more resources than an ordinary martial artist. Just as Tang Ao was about to leave the purple mist, Tang Ao saw a familiar face. This person was Zhuang Dong, who had fought with Tang Ao for the Sublime Clarity Fruit not long ago. However, at this moment, Zhuang Dong was in a rather sorry state, as if he was running for his life. Tang Ao's soul remembrance swept behind him. Tang Ao recognized the person chasing Zhuang Dong. It was the old Medicine King's second disciple, Cui Jing. After seeing Cui Jing, Tang Ao's figure flashed, and he ran into the depths of the purple mist to snatch it. Tang Ao was only at the 4th level of the Seas of Soul's realm, but Cui Jing was indeed at the 4th level of the life and death realm. If he was discovered by Cui Jing here, Tang Ao would absolutely not have a good ending. Fortunately, at this moment, Cui Jing's attention was completely focused on Zhuang Dong, so he did not discover Tang Ao in the purple mist. Although Cui Jing did not know what the purple fog was, he knew that it was a poisonous fog. More than 70% of the things in the Xidagarba cemetery were poisonous. Hand over the death replacement puppet, and I'll let you live. Cui Jing pointed his long sword at Zhuang Dong, his eyes full of disdain. In the depths of the purple mist, Tang Ao heard Cui Jing's words and was shocked. This Zhuang Dong's luck was too good. Last time, when he was chasing him, he found the Sublime Clarity Fruit Tree, and this time, he found a treasure like the death replacement puppet. If it weren't for the fact that Tang Ao's cultivation was lacking, Tang Ao was prepared to help Zhuang Dong keep the death replacement puppet safe. Cui Jing, don't go too far. If you leave now, I'll pretend nothing happened. In a moment, when my big brother Zhongming comes, he won't be so easy to talk to. Zhuang Dong didn't know if he was in a panic, but as he spoke, he actually ran towards the purple mist forest where Tang Ao was hiding. Chapter 1104. The purple mist forest was not very big. Perhaps no one would notice Tang Ao from the outside. However, as soon as the two of them entered the purple mist forest, they would immediately discover Tang Ao. With no time to think, Tang Ao immediately took out an invisibility talisman and put on himself. Then, he jumped onto a big tree and hid. After using the invisibility talisman, Tang Ao couldn't be seen with the naked eye, and soul remembrance was hard to find. However, just because it was hard to discover didn't mean it was impossible. Alchemist's soul remembrance far surpassed normal martial artists. Even if Zhuang Dong couldn't discover Tang Ao, Cui Jing could very likely discover Tang Ao. As soon as Tang Ao jumped onto the ancient tree, Zhuang Dong plunged into the purple mist forest. Zhuang Dong, do you want to die? When Cui Jing saw Zhuang Dong plunge into the purple mist forest, he couldn't help feeling anxious. Cui Jing didn't care about Zhuang Dong's life or death, but the death scapegoat puppet was still with Zhuang Dong. If Zhuang Dong died in the purple mist forest, it wouldn't be easy for him to get his hands on the death scapegoat puppet. Cui Jing, you piece of shit. Come in with Grandpa if you have the guts. Now that Zhuang Dong was barefooted, he wasn't afraid of wearing shoes. After entering the purple mist forest, Zhuang Dong discovered that the purple mist had seeped into his blood. There were countless kinds of strange poisons in the Xidagarba cemetery, and Zhuang Dong did not know what kind of poison this was. However, there was no turning back for Zhuang Dong. Now, Zhuang Dong could only hope that Cui Jing did not have the guts to follow him into the purple mist forest, so that he could escape and then think of a way to cure the poison. On the ancient gray tree, Tang Ao couldn't help but curse inwardly when he saw Zhuang Dong continuously approaching him. It was one thing for Zhuang Dong to barge into the purple mist forest, but why did he have to run in his direction? In this way, as long as Cui Jing chased into the purple mist forest, it would be difficult for him not to find Tang Ao. After all, Cui Jing regarded Tang Ao as a thorn in his side, and he would not be happy if he did not get rid of him. At the same time, Tang Ao secretly cursed Zhuang Dong for being a pig. At this time, all he had to do was lie down on the ground and pretend to be dead. There was an 80% chance that Cui Jing would not dare to come in immediately, and then he could escape with the protection of the purple mist. Even if Cui Jing came in rashly, he could still catch Cui Jing off guard. Cui Jing was a 4th-stage life and death realm warrior, but Zhuang Dong was also a 3rd-stage life and death realm warrior. The gap between the two was not that big. Moreover, Tang Ao felt that as long as Cui Jing saw that Zhuang Dong was poisoned to death in the purple mist forest, Cui Jing would most likely not take the risk to come in. Outside the purple mist forest, Cui Jing saw that Zhuang Dong had been in the purple mist forest for so long, but he still continued to walk through it. Zhuang Dong has been in the purple mist forest for such a long time, yet he is still alive. This means that the purple mist is at least a slow-acting poison. Since it's like this, Cui Jing, want this death scapegoat puppet. After making up his mind, Cui Jing no longer hesitated. From the tree, Tang Ao could only see Cui Jing, who was dressed in a white alchemy robe, like a white crane spreading its wings. With a flash, he rushed straight into the purple mist forest. Tang Ao was shocked in his heart. Tang Ao did not expect that Cui Jing's alchemy level was not bad, and his movement technique was even more impressive. Originally, Tang Ao planned to immediately escape once Cui Jing entered the purple mist forest, but now, Tang Ao had completely missed the best opportunity to escape. Once Cui Jing entered the purple mist forest, the purple mist instantly seeped into his blood. After Cui Jing quietly felt it, he immediately understood that this was a type of blood poison with a very mild toxicity. Immediately, Cui Jing grabbed a medicinal pill and swallowed it. The boiling feeling in his blood was immediately suppressed. Although it did not dissolve the blood poison, after suppressing it, Cui Jing sneered, and with a shake of his long sword, he rushed towards Zhuang Dong. Chapter 1105. When the two saw that the figure flying away was Tang Ao, they were both very surprised. Cui Jing steeled his heart and said to Zhuang Dong, "This person and I have enmity. I must kill him. If you give me the death scapegoat puppet, I will refine 3 pills for you for free in the future. If you don't agree, I will kill you first and then go after Tang Ao." Cui Jing did not want to let Tang Ao escape, but the death scapegoat puppet was also infinitely attractive to Cui Jing, so Cui Jing chose to compromise. According to Cui Jing's original idea, he wanted to kill Zhuang Dong and seize the death scapegoat puppet because Zhuang Dong's elder brother Zhongming was not someone to be trifled with. "Cui Jing, you think too highly of yourself. This time my second brother Zhuang is fine. I will not argue with you, get lost." Just as Zhuang Dong hesitated to compromise with Cui Jing, Zhongming's voice suddenly came from not far away. Apparently, Zhongming had received his message and promptly rushed over. "Ha ha, big brother, let's join hands and kill that son of a bitch Cui Jing." Zhuang Dong saw Zhongming rushing over, spittle flying as he spoke. "See you later." Cui Jing and the Zhongming brothers did not have much hatred. They only crossed paths because of the death scapegoat puppet. Now that Zhongming had rushed over, the death scapegoat puppet obviously had nothing to do with him. Moreover, he was not afraid of facing Zhuang Dong or Zhongming alone, but if the two joined forces, it would be difficult for him to gain an advantage. Therefore, Cui Jing made a prompt decision and decided to first chase after Tang Ao. Tang Ao did not fly far when he saw Zhongming rushing over. Tang Ao knew that something bad was about to happen. Sure enough, after Zhongming rushed over, Cui Jing directly flew in the direction of his escape. Cui Jing's body technique was powerful, and his flying speed was even more amazing. Not long after, Tang Ao could already see Cui Jing's shadow. Tang Ao felt very helpless. After entering the Xidagarba cemetery, Tang Ao could not remember how many times he had run away. And this time, compared to the previous few times, it was more dangerous. Tang Ao, still not die. I want to see where you can escape to. Cui Jing, did your head get kicked by a donkey? Zhongming's aura was unstable just now, and he was obviously seriously injured. If you go back now, the death scapegoat puppet will still be yours. Even if you kill me, what will you get? Tang Ao shouted behind him as he fled for his life. Tang Ao's words did make Cui Jing stunned, but Cui Jing quickly reacted that this was Tang Ao's nonsense in order to survive. Do you think I will fall for such a small trick? After Cui Jing finished speaking, his speed instantly increased by 3 times. Cui Jing, you idiot! If Zhongming was not injured, would he let you go so easily? Tang Ao was talking nonsense. The bell had rung so quickly that Tang Ao hadn't paid attention to the state of the bell. Instead, he had run away. Hearing Tang Ao's solemn vow, Cui Jing had a few more thoughts in his mind. Indeed, he had almost killed Zhuang Dong just now. With the relationship between Zhongming and Zhuang Dong, and the two of them working together, there was no reason for them to let him go. But the moment Zhongming came, he asked him to leave. This was very unreasonable. But now that he understood it, it was already too late. Most likely in the moment he chased after Tang Ao, Zhongming and Zhuang Dong had already run away in the opposite direction. Even if his body technique was powerful, if he chased after them now, he most likely would not be able to catch up with Zhuang Dong. After understanding this, Cui Jing hated Tang Ao even more. If not for Tang Ao suddenly rushing out with his shrewdness, how could he not see that Zhongming was strong on the outside but weak on the inside? Chapter 1106. Tang Ao saw that not far in front of him, there was a forest that stretched as far as the eye could see. Other people didn't know about this tree, but Tang Ao knew it very well, because this tree was the refreshing tree that Tang Ao had named not long ago. Moreover, in the refreshing tree, a deep purple mist pervaded the air. Tang Ao wasn't sure if this purple mist was the same as the purple mist from before, because the purple mist from before was light purple, but this purple mist was purple-black. Tang Ao used his heavenly extreme pupils to look down and saw that there were still a few demonic beasts and poisonous insects in the purple mist forest. After thinking for a moment, Tang Ao dove into the purple mist forest. The instant he entered the purple mist forest, Tang Ao ran as fast as he could. Cui Jing didn't think that Tang Ao would use Zhuang Dong's methods to hide in the poison mist. Although this purple mist was very similar to the one from before, Cui Jing didn't quickly chase in. This was because Cui Jing's soul remembrance found that in this endless purple mist forest, other than the purple mist, there were also many powerful poisonous creatures. Just now, Cui Jing's soul remembrance had found a 3-legged gold toad. This 3-legged gold toad was an extremely poisonous creature. Even Cui Jing didn't dare to easily provoke it. Tang Ao obviously knew that these local snakes weren't easy to deal with. So Tang Ao tried his best to escape in a direction that didn't have any demonic beasts or poisonous insects. However, Tang Ao didn't escape very far before his eyelids became incomparably heavy. Under Tang Ao's inner vision, the purple poison mist had once again seeped into his blood. Tang Ao hastily used his soul remembrance. But what surprised Tang Ao was that there wasn't a single refreshing fruit on the refreshing tree. Tang Ao didn't know if the refreshing fruit he had just obtained was effective, so he decisively took out a refreshing fruit and took a bite. Not long after, a refreshing feeling flowed into Tang Ao's limbs and bones. Immediately after, the dizziness in Tang Ao's head gradually disappeared. It worked. Tang Ao was overjoyed and quickly took out 2 refreshing fruits and ate them. Cui Jing did not dare to directly enter the purple mist forest, but he still chased after Tang Ao above the purple mist forest. Seeing that Tang Ao was fine after walking through the purple mist forest for a long time, Cui Jing also entered the purple mist forest in a flash. However, once Cui Jing entered the purple mist forest, his expression changed greatly because he felt that his soul power and soul remembrance were somewhat chaotic. Cui Jing did not understand why nothing happened to Tang Ao after staying in the purple mist forest for so long, but why did he fall for it the moment he entered? Could it be that he was injured by some invisible poison? However, after Cui Jing's soul remembrance swept over his body, he didn't find any wounds on his body. Looking at Tang Ao jumping up and down in front of him, completely unharmed, Cui Jing's lungs were about to explode. After hesitating for a moment, Cui Jing decided to leave first. Sensing the worsening condition of his body, Cui Jing did not dare to stay any longer. He directly soared into the sky and left the area covered by the purple mist. However, Cui Jing did not give up on chasing Tang Ao. He continued to follow Tang Ao above the purple mist forest. Tang Ao swept out with his soul remembrance and saw Cui Jing flying above the purple mist forest. Tang Ao was a bit depressed. Cui Jing was flying in the air with incomparable ease. However, it was not easy for him to pass through the forest. Moreover, with his 2 legs, he most likely could not outrun Cui Jing. However, Cui Jing had just suffered a huge loss in the purple mist forest, so he didn't dare rashly enter the purple mist forest. Chapter 11:07. Hong Long Long. Cui Jing's enormous flaming dragon didn't hit Tang Ao, but the shocking explosion caused all of the poisonous insects and demon beasts in the purple mist forest to panic. Some of the demonic beasts with low spiritual intelligence fled as fast as they could into the distance. Many towering ancient trees were also smashed and broken by these demonic beasts. If this continued, they would be bitten to death by the poisonous mist. Tang Ao looked at the demon beasts and poisonous insects in the purple mist forest that had gone crazy because of the fire and cried bitterly in his heart. Under the sweep of the fire, the purple mist in the purple mist forest was slowly dissipating. If this continued, he would fall into Cui Jing's hands sooner or later. However, what Tang Ao didn't expect was that because of the fire, the purple mist in the forest was spreading in all directions. Originally, there was no purple mist above the forest Cui Jing was in, but now the purple mist forest was filled with purple mist. Cui Jing had just experienced the power of this purple mist, so he didn't have the guts to rush into it. Cui Jing also cried bitterly in his heart. Originally, he just had to wait for Tang Ao to die from the poison in the purple mist forest, and his goal would have been achieved. Right now, Cui Jing didn't know what situation Tang Ao was in the purple mist forest, but Cui Jing knew that if he continued to stay here when Tang Ao died from the poison, he would most likely die here as well. After hatefully glancing at the purple mist forest, Cui Jing rode his flying sword and quickly fled the purple mist forest. However, Cui Jing had already gone deep into the purple mist forest for a long time. Even with his shocking speed, he couldn't easily fly out of the purple mist forest. Damn Tang Ao, the next time I see you, I'll definitely rip your corpse into 1,000 pieces. Cui Jing finished speaking and pulled out a blood escape talisman. After forcing out a drop of essence blood, Cui Jing's entire body transformed into a bloody shadow and disappeared. Tang Ao's soul remembrance also scanned that Cui Jing had used a blood escape talisman to escape. This was originally something to be happy about, but now Tang Ao wasn't happy at all. At this moment, Tang Ao was surrounded by 5 poisonous bugs. These 5 poisonous bugs seemed to be escaping as well. However, for some unknown reason, they suddenly separated into 5 directions and surrounded Tang Ao. Right in front of Tang Ao was a venomous snake that stood upright and flicked its tongue. On the left was a pumpkin-sized spider, and on the right was a 3-legged toad. To the right of Tang Ao was a gigantic centipede that was 3 feet long. It looked extremely horrifying. Behind him on the left was a scorpion with a shining tail. It was obvious that it was not a simple creature. Big brothers. Tang Ao smiled bitterly. These fellows weren't big, but their auras were all at the life and death realm. Under such circumstances, Tang Ao had no other choice but to hide in the chaotic hexagram mirror. However, although the 5 poisonous insects surrounded Tang Ao, they did not immediately attack. Instead, they were very wary of each other. If they didn't attack, Tang Ao didn't dare to be careless. Tang Ao didn't know how powerful these fellows' poison was, but this was the first time Tang Ao had seen a life and death realm poison since he started cultivating. Although it was his first time seeing them, Tang Ao wasn't curious about them at all. Tang Ao only hoped that these fellows would make way for him, so he could leave. Big brothers, since there's nothing else, I'll leave first. After speaking, Tang Ao's body flashed with a golden light, and he flew upwards. However, at this moment, the 3-legged toad opened its mouth and a faint golden poison arrow flew towards Tang Ao. This golden poison arrow was shockingly fast. Tang Ao only saw a golden flash before Tang Ao felt his consciousness blur. Chapter 11:08. Just as Tang Ao's figure entered the 6-light mirror, a black-clothed girl wearing many silver accessories arrived at Tang Ao's previous position. When the black-clothed girl arrived, she only saw a 6-light mirror necklace on the ground. As for Tang Ao, who had been accidentally injured by her pets, he had disappeared. Not being able to find Tang Ao, little Lon was very worried. The pets she raised had very powerful venom. Just now, when the purple mist forest was filled with fire, these pets were startled and attacked Tang Ao. Little Lon saw from afar that it was her 3-legged toad that had injured Tang Ao. The 3-legged toad's toad paralysis was very powerful. Without her antidote, Tang Ao would most likely be in danger. Thinking of this, Little Lon patted the 3-legged toad's head. Ah Huang, how many times have I told you? Without my permission, you can't attack others. If you don't listen, I don't want you anymore. When the golden 3-legged toad heard Little Lan's words, it instantly panicked. Its round eyes were full of grievance. Clearly, it didn't mean to attack Tang Ao. It was just that the purple mist forest suddenly caught fire, and the 3-legged toad was worried that Tang Ao would hurt Little Lon, so it surrounded Tang Ao. Later, when it saw Tang Ao trying to escape, the 3-legged toad attacked Tang Ao in a moment of desperation. In the chaotic 6-light mirror, Tang Ao suppressed the 3-legged toad's poison while releasing his soul remembrance to observe the situation outside. Hearing the conversation between the silver-adorned girl and the 3-legged toad, Tang Ao didn't think too much. Under Little Lan's shocked gaze, the 6-light mirror flashed and Tang Ao flew out. After Tang Ao appeared, he immediately took 2 steps back and said, "Little sister, don't worry, I have no ill intentions. I heard your conversation with the 3-legged toad. It seems that little sister didn't mean to attack me. However, little sister's 3-legged toad is too powerful. I don't know if you have an antidote on you." As soon as Tang Ao finished asking, Xiao Lan, who had returned to her senses, immediately handed over a white pill. Tang Ao didn't think much of it. He took the pill and swallowed it. After taking the pill, the dizziness in Tang Ao's head gradually disappeared, and his breathing became smoother. The feeling of weakness and numbness in his body slowly subsided. Tang Ao knew that the antidote was real. "Where did you come from?" Xiaolan asked timidly after seeing that Tang Ao was fine. Tang Ao was a little confused. Of course, he came from the snow plain. Or was this not what the girl was asking? Wait a minute. Tang Ao suddenly realized that he had not seen this girl before entering the Xitigarbis cemetery. Although there were other people in the Xitigarbis cemetery, they should have left when the Xitigarbis cemetery opened. Could it be that this girl had always lived in the Xitigarbis cemetery? If it was before, Tang Ao wouldn't have such an absurd idea. But now, Tang Ao felt that it was very possible. The most powerful thing in the Xitigarbis cemetery was the endless poisonous insects and fog. However, this girl was clearly not afraid of them. There were even 5 extremely powerful poisonous creatures by her side. I came from the outside. Little sister, have you always lived here? Tang Ao probed. Xiaolon nodded innocently. I have lived in this forest since I can remember. The insects in the forest are my friends. This is the first time I have seen someone so closely. Xiaolan's big eyes were full of curiosity as she looked at Tang Ao. Facing the girl's pure and untainted eyes, Tang Ao felt a bit scared. Chapter 1109. You seem to be afraid of a Huang. Little Lon looked at the 3-legged golden toad on her shoulder and then at the wary Tang Ao. A Huang. This 3-legged golden toad was actually called a Huang. Although Tang Ao did not know why this 3-legged golden toad was named a dog, Tang Ao still forced himself to remain calm and did not laugh out loud. Little sister, I'm not called little sister. I'm called Little Lon. What's your name? Little Lon pursed her lips, seemingly dissatisfied with the random name Tang Ao had given her. I'm called Tang Ao. Tang Ao wanted to explain that it was just a nickname, but Tang Ao decided to ignore it after some thought. Tang Ao was worried that the question was too complicated for Little Lon to understand. By the way, you've been here since you were young, so who taught you to speak? Tang Ao thought to himself. No matter how talented she was, it was impossible for her to speak at birth. Grandpa Huai Shu taught me to speak. Little Lan's expression became somewhat sad. When Tang Ao noticed Little Lan's strange expression, he immediately changed the topic. This is for you to eat. Tang Ao took out a piece of winter melon candied fruit from his storage ring. Little Lon looked at the white, sandstone-like winter melon fruit in Tang Ao's hand and could not help but feel somewhat puzzled. Tang Ao, can this be eaten? Tang Ao smiled warmly and immediately broke the winter melon fruit into 2 and took a bite. To be honest, Tang Ao did not really like this ridiculously sweet food, but he still forced himself to look like it was very delicious. Looking at Tang Ao's expression, Little Lon took the winter melon fruit suspiciously. After taking a small bite, Little Lan's eyes lit up and she looked at Tang Ao with an incredulous expression. It's so sweet. This is really delicious. This is candied plum. There are many delicious and interesting things on Ice and Snow Plain. Can I take you with me when I leave Ice and Snow Plain? Tang Ao didn't have any bad intentions. It was just that Xiaolon was too lonely here, so Tang Ao wanted to take her out. Little Lon was a little puzzled by Tang Ao's words. Why do we have to go out? I think this place is very good. Tang Ao was stumped by Little Lan's question. In the eyes of ordinary people, although the Xitigarbis cemetery was a treasure trove, it was too dangerous to stay there for long. But this was only for ordinary martial artists. Little Lon had lived in the Xitigarbis cemetery since she was a child, so her body was clearly immune to 100 poisons. Furthermore, the poisonous creatures in the Xitigarbis cemetery were very close to Little Lon. In the Xitigarbis cemetery, Little Lon was like a fish in water. Tang Ao, let me ask you, why did you set fire to the purple mist forest? Little Lon asked a little angrily. Because Little Lon had grown up in the purple mist forest, it was like her home. So, when someone set fire to the purple mist forest, Little Lon was very angry. I did not set it on fire. It was a martial artist called Chui Jing. Tang Ao said as he gathered his spirit power and showed Little Lon the video of his battle with Chui Jing. Actually, it was not really a battle, because Tang Ao was being chased by Chui Jing in the purple mist forest. You were so stupid. He hit you, and you did not even fight back. What Tang Ao didn't expect was that after Little Lon finished watching the video, she started giggling. At the same time, Tang Ao was a little speechless. He was at the 4th level of the Sea of Souls realm, while Chui Jing was at the 4th level of the Life and Death realm. There was a huge gap between them, so how could he fight back? Chapter 1110. Tang Ao was speechless towards this naive little girl. If the forest was burning, of course it had to be extinguished. However, Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to scan the area and found that there were no lakes or rivers nearby, so he couldn't use water to extinguish the fire. Moreover, Cui Jing's martial technique was very powerful. Currently, most of the forest behind Tang Ao and Little Lawn was burning. Looking over, it was like a sea of fire, extremely terrifying. After thinking for a moment, Tang Ao prepared to use an array to extinguish the fire. Little Lawn, I'll make the array flag now. In a moment, follow the location I marked on the map and place my array flag there. As Tang Ao spoke, he took out a bee skin scroll and sketched out a simple map of the purple mist forest. Tang Ao marked 108 locations on the map. Due to the large area, Tang Ao's speed of setting up the array flag by himself was very slow. However, Little Lawn could control the various demonic beasts and poisonous insects in the purple mist forest. This way, setting up the array flag was much easier. After giving the map to Little Lawn, Tang Ao immediately took out his crafting furnace and began to make the array flag. This time, the array Tang Ao wanted to set up was called the 5-Spirit Sunflower Water Array. It required a total of 108 auxiliary array flags and 36 main array flags. Although Tang Ao had a few array flags on him, it was far from enough. Currently, Tang Ao's crafting skills had reached the peak of 6th grade, so Tang Ao's speed at making the array flag was faster than others. After making 12 array flags, Tang Ao gave the array flag to Little Lawn. Little Lawn then controlled the demonic beasts in the purple mist forest and placed the array flag at the designated location. Although it was their first time doing something like this, Little Lawn and Tang Ao cooperated extremely well. When Tang Ao began to make the main array flag, Little Lawn had already finished setting up the 108 auxiliary array flags. All right, Little Lawn, now step back a bit. I'll start the 5-Spirit Sunflower Water Array. The 5-Spirit Sunflower Water Array was the most complicated array Tang Ao had set up so far. If a warrior awakened a water attribute life soul or cultivated a water attribute cultivation technique, they would erupt with terrifying combat power in this 5-Spirit Sunflower Water Array. Tang Ao flew into the air and shot out all 36 array flags in his hand. Immediately, Tang Ao shouted in a low voice, 5-Spirit Sunflower Water Array, activate. Suddenly, the temperature of the entire space dropped, and even the raging flames in the purple mist forest stopped burning. The purple mist that had been rising in the purple mist forest fell back into the purple mist forest. The vicious beasts and poisonous insects in the forest also felt a trace of coldness. Little Lawn looked up at the sky and saw that it had instantly darkened. The sky, which had been crimson just a moment ago, was now covered with dark clouds. Between the dark clouds, 5 indistinct azure dragons shuttled back and forth. Immediately, rain began to fall from the sky. This rainwater was different from ordinary rainwater. It was a light blue color. When the raindrops fell on the flames instantly emitted white smoke and were immediately extinguished. The flames in the purple mist forest weren't small, but the rain gathered by the 5-Spirit Sunflower Water Array was even greater. In less than an instant's time, the flames that had just burned half the sky had disappeared. What replaced it was the unending rain. When the last remaining trace of flames in the purple mist forest was extinguished, Tang Ao threw out 3 more array flags. Stop! After putting away the array, Tang Ao came to Little Land's side. Just now, he had been using his soul remembrance to control the array. Right now, Tang Ao's soul remembrance was somewhat exhausted and his face was somewhat pale. Chapter 1111. Little Lawn had always lived in the Xitigarbis cemetery. Tang Ao wanted to ask her where exactly the Frost Canyon where the Spirit Ice Fruit Forest was located was. From a map that had the Spirit Ice Fruit Forest, Tang Ao only knew that it was in the 3rd region of the Xitigarbis cemetery. If it was the 3rd region, Tang Ao felt that it was very close because Tang Ao guessed that he was currently in the third region of the Xitigarbis Cemetery. I've been to many places, but I've never gone out. Little Lan's reply caused hope to ignite in Tang Ao's heart. Since Little Lan had been to many places in the Xitigarbis Cemetery, then Little Lan had very likely been to a region close to the Frost Canyon. Perhaps she had even been to the Frost Canyon. Tang Ao hastily took out the map that recorded the Spirit Ice Fruit Forest and asked Little Lan, have a look. Have you been here before? Little Lan looked at the map and immediately sent her soul remembrance into the map that Tang Ao had taken out. After her soul remembrance entered the map, a scene of ice and snow appeared in front of Little Lan. The person who had recorded this map was flying extremely quickly towards the top of the valley. Just as he was about to leave the valley, he was attracted by a forest below the valley. However, he didn't immediately go into the forest to check. Instead, he stopped for a moment before leaving. The map's impression stopped here. Therefore, Tang Ao only knew that the Spirit Ice Fruit Forest was under a canyon. However, where this canyon was, Tang Ao didn't know. Little Lan carefully thought for a while before shaking her head. Clearly, the Xitigarbis Cemetery was too large, and Little Lan had never been to this place. I've never been here either. However, I know that only the northern region is this cold. If you want to find this place, head north of the forest and you might be able to find it. Although Little Lan didn't know where this canyon was, Little Lan still gave Tang Ao a very useful piece of information. Only in the northern region would there be such a situation of being covered in ice and snow. Tang Ao took out a wood ice fruit and asked Little Lan, have you ever seen such a fruit? Tang Ao had never seen the Spirit Ice Fruit before, but he had heard from Shangwan Wonder that the Spirit Ice Fruit looked very similar to the wood ice fruit. Is this also delicious? Little Lan shook her head and looked at Tang Ao with clear eyes. Tang Ao shook his head with a bitter smile. The taste of the wood ice fruit was indeed not that great. I'll head north to take a look. If I can't find the Spirit Ice Fruit Forest, I'll come back for you. Although he wasn't sure if the Spirit Ice Fruit Forest was in the northern region, Tang Ao still decided to check it out. Xiaolan nodded, then took out a wooden flute and handed it to Tang Ao. Take this flute. As long as you blow this flute, I will know where you are. Tang Ao was a little surprised, but he still put away the wooden flute. At the same time, Tang Ao also handed a storage ring to Little Lan. This storage ring is for you. There are some jade slips and pills inside. See you later. After exchanging gifts with Little Lan, Tang Ao headed north. Little Lan was right. The northern region was indeed a world of ice and snow. Tang Ao flew all the way north for 3 days before arriving at this snow-covered space. Chapter 11:12. At this moment, the towering ancient tree behind Tang Ao resembled rime ice, but it was much taller. Tang Ao sat on a tree branch and took out the record of the Spirit Ice Fruit Forest. Tang Ao had already looked through this record many times, but Tang Ao still hadn't found a way to find the Spirit Ice Fruit Forest. After looking through the record again, Tang Ao found an unusual place. No matter where in the Xitigarbis Cemetery, all kinds of strange trees could be seen everywhere. Whether it was the purple mist forest that Tang Ao had passed through before or the rime ice forest that Tang Ao was currently in, there seemed to be trees everywhere in the Xitigarbis Cemetery. However, Tang Ao shockingly found that besides the faint Spirit Ice Fruit Forest in the middle of the canyon, there was no vegetation around the canyon. In fact, in that short scene, Tang Ao didn't even find the existence of any demonic beasts. It could be said that besides the Spirit Ice Fruit Forest in the depths of the canyon, there were no other living creatures. Thinking of this, Tang Ao suddenly understood why the martial artist who recorded this record hurriedly left that area. Because that area was very likely to be a very dangerous place. The martial artist who recorded this record didn't dare to stay for long after discovering a treasure like the Spirit Ice Fruit Forest. He simply recorded it down and quickly left. Pong! A violent wave of spirit power came from far away from Tang Ao. Tang Ao looked up and saw a sky full of ice and snow. A snow-white giant bear jumped into the air and roared in all directions. Tang Ao suspiciously swept out with his sole remembrance and saw a group of martial artists surrounding a life and death realm third-level long-haired giant bear. Long-haired giant bears were very common demonic beasts on the snowy plains. Although they were large and not very agile, the long-haired giant bear was still quite a threat to martial artists. Its large body was accompanied by terrifying strength. In terms of strength, this life and death realm third-level long-haired giant bear was even stronger than a 7th-level life and death realm martial artist. If it was just strength, the long-haired giant bear wouldn't be so hard to deal with. Besides its shocking strength, the long-haired giant bear's snow-white fur was also very powerful. Spirit artifacts of a lower grade couldn't even pierce through his skin. At this moment, there were still 11 martial artists surrounding the long-haired giant bear. On the ground around it, there were several miserable corpses. Tang Ao didn't know why these martial artists would target the long-haired giant bear, but Tang Ao didn't want to get involved. Just as Tang Ao was about to leave, Tang Ao suddenly found 2 shivering children under the snow behind the haired giant bear. Tang Ao knew that there were no such young children among the warriors who had entered the ice and snow plain. There was no doubt that these 2 children, like Xiaolan, were humans living in the Xitigarbis cemetery. At this moment, their eyes were full of worry. This powerful long-haired giant bear seemed to be their companion. However, facing the attacks of so many martial artists, no matter how powerful the long-haired giant bear was, it gradually couldn't hold on. Pucci, a martial artist with a sharp knife, saw the opportunity and cut open a wound on the long-haired giant bear's stomach. Blood flowed out, and the long-haired giant bear's snow-white fur was instantly dyed red. No! The 2 girls hiding under the snow couldn't help but rush out. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.